Y'all know what time it is. It's about that time. Go ahead and get all this stuff situated in one moment. We'll start this Hill Truth Live. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? It's a beautiful day, if I do say so myself. It's a beautiful day because finally, Nintendo has come back and gave us another console reveal. We gotta give a golf clap for that one. Because they took their sweet ass time revealing this Nintendo Switch 2. Obviously everybody has seen it already, but for the sake of the Hill Truth Live today that you are watching, we gonna rewatch this trailer again because I'm pretty sure a lot of you already watched it like 50,000 damn times already. I'm pretty sure y'all have, but it ain't gonna kill you to watch it again. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna watch it again and take in this beautiful beam footage and take in this epic moment of how we are going to transition from the greatest gaming system of all time, Nintendo Switch, to the next greatest gaming system of all time, Nintendo Switch 2. I gotta watch it again. I've been watching it on repeat for so long. It's that damn good. It's that damn good. And I hope y'all caught some of the details in here as well. I'm gonna point them out after this trailer's over. I love that these Joy-Cons are way bigger. I love that. But there's a lot of subtle things in this trailer that people did not catch up on by, I'm looking at social media, that I'm gonna point out. They told you a lot without telling you a lot, without showing you a lot, but they told you a lot in this trailer. I ain't gonna lie, I like the new slap sound. It sounds like you slapping booty cheeks. I love that sound. And this has been a lot of bigger debate on social media. Is this 10-second of Mario Kart 9 footage? But I'm gonna break that down for y'all too. Because they was telling you something here and without telling you, and nobody picked up on it. And then right off the bat, of course, they tell you the backwards capability. We knew that was coming because Nintendo president did tweet that out. But keep in mind, they showed you that for a reason, and a lot of people didn't pick up on that either. Slapping booty cheeks. What you talking about? Let's go back and hear that sound one more time. Let's go back and hear that sound one more time. That sound is so satisfying. I'm glad it's like the evolved version of the regular Switch snap. It's such a beautiful sound. It's like slapping some booty cheeks. You know what I mean? Listen to it. Listen to it. And then here come the big slap. When you double slap from behind. Ooh. Y'all know that's satisfying. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Well, most of y'all know what I'm talking about, but y'all know what the hell I'm talking about, man. Listen, man. That's the only thing that was disappointing about this Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer, as I give you my, initial reactions 2 days late. The only disappointing thing was I was hoping that the logo was going to have its own kind of uniqueness and color to it. But Nintendo just said, fuck it, let's just slap a big ass 2 on that bitch. Literally, let's slap a big ass 2 on that bitch. You know what I mean? I'm going to run that back one more time because this sound is so satisfying. I don't know what it is. It's like therapeutic to me. It's like therapeutic to me. I'm going to run that slap back one more time. Y'all can't tell me that. Here you go. All right, that's a little bit too much, I know. Slapping them bare cheeks, yeah. So yeah, it's that's the only thing that bothers me. Everything else was like A1. Everything else was on point. Everything else is an A+ to me. I just wish the logo was a little bit more unique for a brand new console. I don't mind the name Nintendo Switch 2, even though I would prefer the Super Nintendo Switch, but I understand. I digress. I understand why they did it. When you have a situation that happens like Wii U and how that catastrophically did not turn out well, and you're a company that's, has a history and a resume of always succeeding to the highest degree, I would be fucking traumatized by that too. I will have what you call that shit? Damn. What do you call that disease? That diagnosis? I'm having post-traumatic stress disorder. There you go. PTSD. There we go. I'm fucking up. Anyway, yeah. That PTSD from the Wii U situation, and it was like, you know what, we're going to make this very loud and clear and very simple for everybody to understand, and that's what they did. I wish this logo had different colors. I don't mind Nintendo Switch 2. I just wish the logo was a little bit more unique from the Switch 1 logo. I don't think that would have been too much to ask since you're naming the console Nintendo Switch 2. I think people get it when they hear the name Nintendo Switch 2. The logo could have been jazzed up a little bit. Now, before we go into everything that I'm going to talk about here, we're going to talk about everything. So grab your popcorn, you know what I mean? Pause your game, whatever else you're doing, because we're going to dive into every single detail and everything related to Switch 2, from price point to launch date to games that we already know. And obviously, we're going to start with the trailer here and a lot of details. The first thing I do want to point out is that Nintendo does stuff intentionally. They show you things intentionally. They never show you stuff they don't want you to see. So the first thing I want to point out in this trailer, I don't know if anybody else has ever done it. You've probably seen like 10,000 secret details or top 10 secrets in the trailer. The first thing I want to show here is that like the leak said, we have a USB-C port on the top and a USB-C port on the bottom. Now notice that they deliberately show you that. But we don't know the reason why that is. But they deliberately show you that up close because they want you to know that. Keep that in mind. They want you to know that. So, as we keep going, obviously they show you the handle and how flexible it is. That's good because a lot of people did gripe about the Switch 1 stand. So they're showing you that it has a new stand. But this is one of the other parts. The bigger Joy-Cons. And I think this is basically telling you that it's going to be more comfortable than they were to hold by themselves singularly. than the regular Joy-Cons. They're showing you that. But one of the biggest things that people did not catch, which was a humongous flex by Nintendo, was this part right here coming up with this analog stick. They did that shit on purpose. Notice they didn't twist the other analog stick. They twist that particular analog stick because everybody and their mama had that Joy-Con drift issue. And they basically telling you, bitch, ain't gonna be no Joy-Con drift on this motherfucker. Ain't gonna be no Joy-Con drift on this bitch. This is why they did that. That was a huge flex right there. Obviously, we tell there's something different about how the sticks are made. Obviously, we see the color inside the stick. And it seems like it's being reinforced by some different type of tech in material. So they're basically telling you right there, we addressed the Joy-Con drift situation, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. But it does get, there's really more detail than that. But I see a lot of people did not notice that part. Obviously, this part right here with the Joy-Cons sliding across the table like mouse, that has to do with the leak about the mouse functionality in the Switch 2 in the Joy-Cons. And if you didn't catch it when they first showed the Joy-Cons, I'm going to try to see if I can slow it down where it happened. I think it happened when they first flipped the Joy-Cons. Obviously, you can see the optical sensor here on the left Joy-Con. But there's optical sensors in both Joy-Cons. See, the leak only said it was one in one Joy-Con. No, there's optical sensors in both Joy-Cons. But my theory is, as you can see, obviously you're going to be able to use the controller as a mouse. That's a no-brainer. We see that. That's why they had the controllers, the Joy-Con sliding across the fucking floor of the table with tails behind it like it's a mouse. You're going to be able to do that. But I don't think that's the only thing you're going to be able to do with this sensor. I don't. Simply because they're basically showing you that the Joy-Cons are bigger and better to grip. The S and L buttons are bigger and better easier to press. As they showed here, let's run that back real quick. As they showed here how the Joy-Con got bigger and they brought this part out further and made it bigger for you to press those SL and SR buttons. And they deliberately showed you that because obviously there's going to be some games where you're going to have to play with a singular Joy-Con. Obviously playing games with singular Joy-Cons are going to be way fucking easier now because these things are bigger and the buttons are bigger and they're way more pressable. But as you can see on your screen in front of you, the optical sensor is there. Now, this is just my educated guess, my hypothesis or whatever, my, blackology prediction here. But I think you're going to be able to use that sensor also while playing in single Joy-Con mode. And once I thought of that and figured out, well, that has to be a second function of it because they're telling you that you're still going to be able to play with single Joy-Cons. Which means, and I hope I'm right about this. I hope I'm right about this 100%. Which means we're not only getting mouse controls, I think we're also getting the return of pointer controls back from the Wii and the Wii U. That's all I ever fucking wanted. Because if it was one thing that was very painful to do when transitioning from the Wii consoles to the Switch, I had to say goodbye to pointer controls, especially in first-person shooters. And anybody that has ever played shooters or anything, or shooting type of game or any pointer control functionality game on the Wii or the Wii U, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. It was so difficult to go back to dual analog sticks after playing like that. And I'm thinking that we are finally getting those pointer controls back. And that is the reason why the optical sensor is there for dual purposes. Obviously, they didn't really show that, but that gives us the ability to do that. So I'm hoping I'm right. I'm hoping that will be it. Obviously, it'll be, you still have gyro controls and all of that. But But this will help the situation to where obviously you felt like you took a downgrade in shooter games by going from pointer controls from the Wii and the Wii U controllers to just gyro controls, because they were just not as accurate. They was not as fast. It wasn't as natural feeling. They worked, but they wasn't as natural feeling as those pointer controls on the Wii remote, and using the Wii remote on the Wii and the Wii U. So that's what I think that optical sensor is going to double as, which will open up the ultimate control possibilities for every game on the Switch 2. You know what I mean? On every game with the Switch 2, it's opened up every possibility you could possibly think. You know, just think about it. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 coming to Switch 2. You get to play traditionally. You get to play, Pro Controller, or you can play with the dual Joy-Cons, or you can play with Joy-Con and mouse controls, or you can play single Joy-Con with pointer controls. I am in fucking heaven, because that is the ultimate controller options you can get. That is every control option on the fucking planet you can have. It would be beautiful. I'm hoping that is the case, but it definitely looked like that is the case. I find it hard to believe that sensor will not be utilized when you're playing as a single Joy-Con controller. And I'm hoping that is the case. I want to see that, because Nintendo Switch 2 will have every single solitary control option there is for gaming, period. No other console will be able to do that. That is my theory on that, and I think that's why you saw the Joy-Cons up close like this with the optical sensor shown on screen in single Joy-Con mode, and you also seen it sliding across the floor like a mouse, because it's going to have two functions. That's what I believe. I fully believe, and I can't wait for them to confirm that, because man, that will put everything. And plus, I think the Joy-Cons are going to retain a lot of stuff. The only thing that's not going to come back is the IR camera, obviously, for the IR pointing. But I think all the gyro, accelerometer controls are going to come back. Obviously, they're going to improve them. HD Rumble is going to come back. They're going to improve it. During the Switch 2 leaks, we know NFC capability is still there, so that's in the Joy-Cons as well. But we don't know what else they put in there. So we might be pleasantly surprised on what else they got in that bitch. But I think this is going to be a dual threat, as not only mouse capability controls, but also pointer capability controls. So that's what I have to say about that part. So as we scroll along from here, scroll a little bit forward, let's hear that slap sound one more time. This shit is so satisfying. I don't know why y'all don't like it. Look at that. Come here, girl. And that big slap at the end? Ooh, boy, that's crazy. They didn't have to put that big ass 2 right there, but they wanted to make sure that y'all know this is not a Switch revision. This is a new console. So now on to the next part of this trailer. Now, I don't think a lot of people caught that, but I think if you've been on social media, a lot of people did catch this. And it's Nintendo basically flexing again, very, very, very secretively. Oh man, I can't even get this thing to slow down. How do you make this thing go slow? I forgot how to do this. It's been a while, people. It's been a while, so you got to work with me here. I'm trying to get it stopped here, but it's going too fast. All right, there we go. Now, they intentionally, because it was not by mistake or not by flawed design, they intentionally showed this Mario Kart footage where everybody was passing the start line. And just in Nintendo fans fashion, they figured out that the start line had 24 slots. Meaning that Mario Kart, obviously Mario Kart 9 for Switch 2, is going to have 24 players, which is basically double of what we had in Mario Kart 8. Now, why does that matter? That matters simply because that kind of gives you the indication of what this technology in the Switch 2, specs-wise, is going to be. Obviously, jumping from 12 to 24 players requires a significant increase in horsepower, a significant increase in, obviously, the GPU, a significant increase in, most importantly, the CPU of the console. when you were basically doubling your player count like that. So, but what also showed in this trailer is, and it's 10 clips here that people overanalyze to death. It's just the sheer humongous scope of this Mario Kart game. And they did that intentionally by zooming out right there. Now, I don't know about y'all, but those are the biggest fucking tracks I have ever seen in Mario Kart game ever. I've never seen Mario Kart tracks of this size, of this scale, and that fucking big and wide. So then not only that really reconfirms that it's going to be 24 players because you got to have enough space to have all those people, but it's also showing you how bigger of a scale this game is going to be this time around. Basically showing you that, hey, we are going to have a significant upgrade, obviously, in power and specs for this Nintendo Switch 2. But I think what people missed out of all that they was paying attention to is this part here. Now, you got to ask yourself, right? You have to ask yourself this simple question. Why would this be in the initial reveal trailer of Nintendo Switch 2? Why would Nintendo deliberately make it a point to put this in the 2-minute reveal trailer of Nintendo Switch 2? Obviously, people are going to say, oh, it's backwards capability, so people can know they play Switch games on Switch 2. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's the simple answer to that. But I think this was put here for more of a reason than that. Yeah, that booty slap. That's that booty slap. That booty slap. That's what I'm gonna call it now. The Switch 2 booty slap sound. I think it's put here for more of a reason than that. And I think it also relates to why you've only seen Mario Kart in this reveal trailer. Well, vaguely seen Mario Kart in this reveal trailer for 10 seconds. Notice that the Switch 1 reveal trailer, you saw, it was like 6 or 7 games. In this reveal trailer, you saw 1 game. And you barely saw that one. That was obviously by design. I'm pretty sure they could have put more games in there if they really wanted to, but they only wanted you to see that. And I think that's for a reason. I think the reason they showed this is because outside of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and Pokemon Legends ZA, I think there are a couple of more unannounced Switch 1 games that are probably going to get announced and released before this thing launches. Because otherwise, they would just put this in a press release and let that be that. But they made sure they put that in here and gave you a dummy version of what that means. Basically showing you a Switch 1 cart going to a Switch 1 and a Switch 1 cart going into a Switch 2. So people ain't got no confusion about what they talking about. But I think this really confirms that there are going to be quite a few more Switch 1 games that are going to come out that are going to be Switch 1 only games. And I also think this confirms the opposite of what everybody talking point been ever since the Switch 1, got acknowledged that is a successor coming out. I think this also means that there's not going to be cross-gen releases for Switch 1 and Switch 2. I think that is the main reason why they put this in here. So people will understand that when something comes out on Switch, to buy it, and you will be able to play it on your Switch 2. There isn't going to be a Switch 1 version and a Switch 2 version of a game. That is scheduled to come out for Switch 1. I believe that's the main reason they showed this. And what I am saying is why that backs that up is because, yes, Nintendo has done consoles with backwards capability before. But backwards capability in the Switch 2 is going to be very different from backwards capability of previous Nintendo consoles. It's going to be very different from backwards capability on other competitor consoles. And obviously, some of you might be thinking, what the hell is that? And some of you might be thinking exactly what I'm thinking. I think there's not going to be cross-gen games simply because of the DLSS tech that is in the Switch 2. If you ain't heard about DLSS technology from NVIDIA graphics cards, just YouTube it and you will get all the... They really give you a full-on third-grade level explanation of what that is and what is going to... Basically, what is going to be in Switch 2. Basically, DLSS technology upscales and boosts the resolution and the frame rate of games when it's played on hardware that has DLSS in it. So, in this situation, it seems to indicate that Switch 1 games will be able to benefit from the DLSS technology inside the Switch 2. Because that's how the DLSS technology works on all NVIDIA graphics cards. You just play the game, and the technology that's built into the GPU takes over and increases the resolution, it increases the frame rate. So it doesn't really require a situation where you have to create a whole different version of the game. You just basically take your Switch 1 game, plug it into the Switch 2, the hardware is going to do the rest. No need for downloading patches, no need for $10 upgrades, no need to buy a next generation version of a Switch 1 game. The game is already going to receive those benefits due to the DLSS AI technology. So that really is amazing because it doesn't limit Nintendo on, getting benefits out of the Switch 2, getting benefits out of Switch 1 games on the Switch 2, but it also relieves them of having to re-release games over again on the Switch 2 that you already own. I believe that's fully what this is here. I don't believe that DLSS technology is going to drastically work differently in the Switch 2 than it already works, how it works on PC. You play a PC game, if you have a DLSS enabled graphics card, DLSS is going to kick in and it's going to boost your game. That changes the whole backwards capability game when it comes to video games. You basically have every game in your library will be able to receive, quote unquote, a next generation almost like makeover just by playing it in the Switch 2. And what's great about that is that not only are you going to get better resolutions, better frame rates, you're going to have prettier pictures, and you're going to have more stable games to play with than before. So now you got a situation where, hey, for whatever reason, this is just an example, but I think it's fucking stupid anyway. For whatever reason, people had issues with Breath of the Wild, and they didn't want to play it because it was 30 frames per second. Well, now you can play Breath of the Wild on your Switch 2. Not only is it going to be 1080p on your handheld mode, but now it's also going to be in 4K on your television, and it gets a boost in resolution and frame rate. So that is a huge selling point for the Switch 2 without having to basically port over, redo all these games that you think are worthy of redoing and reselling, and didn't have to go to try to resell the games to people when they already own them and the Switch 2 already plays them. So that right there, I think that was in the trailer for that specific reason. Obviously, they're going to tell us how it works in April when the Direct comes around, but I think that's exactly what it is, because I don't foresee that the DLSS technology is going to work differently in Switch 2 than it already works on PC. So that is something that no other console will be able to do. That is something that's going to be a humongous selling point. That is something that's going to open up every single solitary game in the Switch 1 library to be obviously played again to be bought and to be revalued on the Switch 2. You want to play Breath of the Wild at 4K 60? Just plug it into your Switch 2. You want to play Doom at 1080p 60? Just plug it into your Switch 2. That is such a humongous selling point for this console that I think this is the reason why this was put in here in the first place. And yes, the hype is fucking real because that is amazing. If people don't know, through the leaks, Switch 2 is obviously 1080p in the handheld mode and it's 4K in dock mode. Having your whole Switch library, my dude, having your whole Switch library, being able to to benefit from next generation technology and next generation improvements, having your whole Switch 1 library that you have right now in your house to play them 1080p on the go and to play them in 4K on your television is a tremendous, crazy, exponentially insane selling point for the Switch 2. And that is what would probably get a lot of people to transition from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2 immediately. Because they don't have to leave their games behind, number one. And number two, they also don't want to have to leave their digital games behind. Oh, we got a super... Oh, Lord. We got a super chat from Dora the Explorer's husband. It's from Player Essence OJ. Y'all know OJ. Switch 2 more hype than your crusty Atlanta Falcons. Look, let me touch on that. I don't know how you're talking when you and your 49ers have a worse fucking record. Y'all was out of the playoffs by week 6. At least the Falcons took it all the way down to the last game of the season to be out of the playoffs. I don't even know why you talking. They need to blow up the whole 49ers organization. Y'all are a sham. Y'all are a disgrace. Just like Stephen A. Smith said, we have been bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray by the San Francisco failing Niners. Because they ain't shit. But anyway, also another super chat from It's Your Boy 14. It's day one for me. Let's lock in, gang. Yeah, this is day one for me. But yeah, that's my prediction on the backwards capability situation. A few people were scared about Switch 2, some Switch 2 games. It don't even say some. It says certain Switch 2 games may not be supported on or fully capable. Notice how, y'all gotta notice the verbiage they use. They say may not be supported on or fully compatible with Switch 2. I think that really goes to the games that uses functions that are not going to be in the Switch 2 anymore. And I think that's going to be a very small list of games. Think 1-2 Switch. I think WarioWare uses the IR pointer controls. I think Labo is obviously going to be one that's obviously not going to work on Switch 2. All that Labo bullshit. So on and so forth. I don't think people need to be scared about that. I think that's a minimal thing right there. So don't be scared about that. I think it would be good. But I think we're definitely looking at a situation where you're going to be able to plug your Switch 1 games into Switch 2 and you're going to receive an immediate boost from the DLSS technology. That's how it was stated in the Nintendo filing patent that they did back in December 31st of how the technology works. And that's how the technology works, DLSS technology works on PC. So I don't think it's going to be any different on Switch 2. I just think the way the DLSS technology is built into the hardware, built into GPU, built into the system, whatever you put in, whatever game you put in, is just going to automatically bump it from the hardware perspective. So all Switch 1 games should be receiving a boost basically due to what the Switch 2 hardware is, which is a tremendous selling point, man. That's a tremendous selling point. We also got another super chat from your boy, Go Texans. Yeah. Texans beat the shit out of the Chargers. They beat the shit out of them. I was glad to see that, but don't get too hyped up about the Texans. I think I think this weekend is their final stop. Nico Collins ain't gonna be able to go off like he did last week. They gonna shut him down, and then somebody else is gonna have to do the work. I'm not saying there's no shot of them winning. There is a shot, but then again, it's Kansas City, it's Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, so the odds are not favorable for him. So that's one of the main things about the backwards capability that I wanted to point out to people, and that they told you very important things that they wanted you to know from the beginning in this reveal trailer, and this is one of them. This is why this was in here, and I believe also the reason you only seen 10 seconds of a clip of Mario Kart, and Mario Kart was the only game you saw, is because Mario Kart is indeed the launch title for the Nintendo Switch 2. As in when the first Nintendo Switch 1 reveal trailer. Every game that you saw in that reveal trailer was available day one. I don't think there wasn't anything that wasn't available day one that was shown in that trailer. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe wasn't, but obviously that was a port. That was a different situation. But 90% of the games you saw in the Switch 1 reveal trailer were available day one when you bought the game. Was Skyrim day one? I'm not sure, but I know Skyrim was early on in launch window. So the fact of the matter is that you saw only Mario Kart in that reveal trailer. Basically, was telling you that this is your big Switch 2 launch game, so get ready for that. I know that's kind of disappointing to some people because some people want other games to be launch games, but obviously I'm going to break it down even further to you a little bit later on why Mario Kart 9 is the perfect launch title and the only launch title Nintendo needs at this point. Super chat from Iron Templar. Command and Conquer would be awesome. Would be an awesome PC game for Switch 2 for the mouse functionality. I want RTS games like that in Warhammer 4K Dawn of War to come. I think you'll see more stuff like that. If we're going on by the leaked publishers of games that have already been put in databases and retailers, I think you're going to get more games like that. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So, yeah, I believe that's the reason that was in there. So, the next thing about this reveal trailer as we break it down a little bit more. Hold on, I got to hear that booty slap one more time. I'm sorry. I know I sound creepy as fuck, but I don't care. This sound is satisfying to me. It's almost like spraying Febreze for your ears. It's so refreshing. It's so refreshing. I'm going to call that the booty clap, Switch 2 booty clap. That's what we're going to call that. That's a Switch 2 booty clap. Because you can't tell me it don't sound like nothing else. But anyway, moving along in this trailer. Bro. Obviously, okay, now we got to talk about this. We got to talk about why this was put in here. Notice they're deliberately putting stuff in this reveal trailer. There are no mistakes. Nintendo didn't just so happen, hey, let's just throw this in there. No. They deliberately putting this stuff in here. So they told you about the backwards capability. I told you why I thought that was in there like that and what that completely means. Then they put this Nintendo Direct in here. Now, I may be mistaken. Maybe OJ probably knows a little bit more about history of when Nintendo Directs were announced. But this has to be one of the longest, if not the longest, gap between a Nintendo Direct that's announced and when it's actually going to, show up and you be able to see it. This is a 2-month and change gap. Now, I think they said that simply because obviously they want to let you know when they're going to give you more information about the Switch 2. Obviously, price point launch games, full feature set, everything on top of that. But I think they wanted to do that to really clear the way for other announcements they are going to be making in between now and that point. Obviously, it's already been kind of leaked, and I want to say it's leaked because the guy is really reputable. But there's already a rumor about a Nintendo Direct coming in February. So it would suck for them to announce a Nintendo Direct in February and everybody expecting Switch 2 stuff, and you don't get it, and then basically everything you announced in February gets shitted on. So They basically told you right now, you're not hearing shit about Switch 2 until April. And I think that's deliberate simply because they don't want to overshadow the games they have coming out. Most importantly, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition coming to Nintendo Switch. One of the greatest open world games of all fucking time, by the way. And also they got Pokemon Presents coming in February, which probably is you finally going to see Pokemon Legends EA. Hopefully there's no fucking N64 trees and fucking flat grass. Hopefully Game Freak learned how to fucking render in 3D finally, but we'll see. And also you're going to have a Nintendo Direct. Now, I have my theories of what's going to happen with the Nintendo Direct between now and April. I think you're going to get, obviously, Pokemon Legends EA. I think you're going to get, obviously, Metroid Prime 4 release date. I think the release dates for both of those. But I really feel like there might be a couple, one or two unannounced Switch 1 games that they haven't announced to you yet. So, those also might be there. And with them basically putting out and showing you up front that full backwards capability is indeed one of the big core feature points of Switch 2, and then they announced these new Switch 2 release dates, and Switch 1 games release dates, and they announced these new Switch 1 games, you already have it embedded in your mind that, yeah, I can get these games, and I still will be able to play these games on the Switch 2 when it comes to that point. Now, what's going to happen in April? Oh wait, I'm gonna say that for later because I want to bring up another point about that. What's going to happen in April? And of course, they finished this trailer with the Switch 2 experience, and congratulations to whoever signed up for that and actually was able to get through. I didn't bother doing that because for some reason somebody at Nintendo of America thinks United States is only fucking Los Angeles, New York, and fucking Texas. I wish whoever is over that shit gets fucking fired. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry for saying that because every time Nintendo does some type of fucking tour, the majority of the United States is left the fuck out. Like, we don't want to be in LA. We don't want to be in fucking New York. I don't know why the fuck y'all always go to goddamn Texas. Like, what? It's way more popular places in the United States than those three goddamn spots. Like, whoever's over that shit has been traumatizing me for the last 2 generations with this bullshit. The last time they had a good schedule to tour about anything Nintendo related was when they did the Wii U experience, and it actually had a stop here in Atlanta. Actually, that Wii U experience had a lot of stops to it. So whoever took over after that don't know what the fuck they're doing, and y'all need to go ahead and replace them. I'm sorry. Give them a job in somewhere else, another department, because I'm just tired of seeing this all the time. Every time something goes on when they on tour, it's these impossible places that nobody fucking even goes to. Or it's always fucking LA. Like, we all don't live in goddamn LA. Like, I'm about tired of that. Like, it's like, if you just at least just expand the cities. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, what frustrates me is that most of the gamers live on the East Coast any damn way. So why do you gotta stop in the fucking Midwest? Because regardless of what people think, Texas is the South. No, Texas is really the fucking Midwest because they're not even the Eastern damn time zone. They're closer to fucking Colorado than they into Georgia. And then you on the West Coast, and the only fucking town that really has a lot of gamers in LA. Just fuck everybody else on the other side of the goddamn country. It's like, y'all need to stop doing that. That's annoying because I really wanted to go to this. And it's like, we're doing this shit again. Nobody exists anymore. Like, just add more fucking cities. You know what I'm saying? Places where I know gamers are at. You know, Orlando, Miami, obviously Atlanta, Chicago. You'd be surprised how many gamers are in Charlotte, Richmond, Washington, D.C. I would even say Birmingham, Nashville, Memphis, Little Rock, Kansas City. these are all places I've been to for certain different gaming stuff. Most of them have been for like game stuff, like obviously Madden tournaments, because I was huge in the Madden community. But gamers always showed up to these places. I can literally show you the footage from Tears of the Kingdom launch, midnight launch at a GameStop here in Atlanta, and the fucking line at midnight was all the way out the door and around the fucking complex. Like, I don't know who has the data for where Nintendo gamers are, but it's not fucking LA, New York, and Texas. It's more places than that. Somebody needs to do a census or something, because obviously I'm tired of seeing that shit. It irks me to death. It really irks me if y'all can't really tell that shit by now. It irks me that they keep doing that. But anyway, this Nintendo Switch 2 experience, after I got on that ridiculous rant, which I shouldn't even did. This Nintendo Switch 2 experience, right? And leave it to social media to just dig when anything comes out. But anyway, they found out this Nintendo Switch 2 experience ends, I think, June 1st, or the first week of June. And it ends in Korea in the first week of June. So it goes from, obviously, April all the way to June 1st. So basically, when you put 2 and 2 together, Switch 2 obviously is releasing sometime after June 1st. That pretty much where it puts it at. Obviously they would end the experience tour at that point for a reason. And I think that is a good spot for the Switch 2 to launch in, even though Nintendo historically has not launched a system in June. I know that. But before Switch 1, Nintendo historically has not launched a system in March. And look what they did. They launched their system in March. So everything pointed out through the history of the Switch 1, if we just basically follow the same playbook, follow the same timeline, it puts the Switch 2 launch in June. And it makes sense to me. You know why it makes sense? Because June will be the last month that they can record any sales in hardware data, software and sales data, hardware and software sales data for the quarter 2 of 2025. Quarter 2 2025 ends June 30th. So Nintendo really has this thing where they definitely want to show strong financials to investors. So I think June will be a good launch date, because they'll be able to have those launch numbers on their quarterly financials for quarter 2 of 2025, which ends June 30th. Otherwise, they could launch in July. I don't see it being no later than July. They could launch in July if they have some other surprise games that we just simply do not know about, and they are just basically that big. But the thing is, they don't want to show any bad financials for their quarterly results. So I think this really puts in perspective of why that Switch 2 experience ends in June, because I think the Switch 2 is launching in June. And I think the Switch 2 is launching with Mario Kart, because that's the only game you saw in the fucking initial trailer. Basically telling you we're coming out heavy hitting. I tried to pull this up, but I couldn't find it. But it is a report. There is a report. I don't know if it was Bloomberg or some other place. There is a report that Nintendo does have suppliers ready to have 20 million plus Nintendo Switch 2 units ready for launch. For perspective on that, Switch 1 sold 15 million its first year. Nintendo is gearing up 20 million units for Switch 2. Now, I'm not a crazy man, but I am a betting man. I think a company like Nintendo would not have that amount of ready and available consoles if they didn't think they can move all those consoles, which should strike happiness in all Nintendo fans' hearts, but also strike fear and on Nintendo haters' hearts. Because for them to stockpile 20 million Switch 2 units for launch, that only means one thing. They believe they have software that can move 20 million Switch 2s for launch. So that should fucking excite you. And this is one of the reasons why I know for sure that Mario Kart 9, or whatever the hell they're going to call it, is going to be a launch title. They teased it to you here in this reveal trailer. They have 20 million Switch 2s lined up to be sold. The only way you're going to sell that many is that you got to have killer apps from day fucking one. And why not use the game that just keeps on fucking selling no matter what? Mario Kart. It's a match made in heaven. Kind of said this before I think Mario Kart was just going to be the launch game. They want to continue that momentum. They want to continue that success. That's the best way to do it. I don't think they queued up 20 million Switch 2s to have the game launch with something like a Kid Icarus Uprising sequel, or another Sin and Punishment, or even, you know, a cross-gen Metroid Prime 4. That's not going to get them off to the start that they want to. They did not queue up 20 million Switch 2 units to do for that. They didn't do that for that. They didn't start mass production back in September of last year because they're going to release any ports from Switch 1 or Breath of the Wild remastered as a launch time. No, that's not why they did. That's not why they queued up 20 million Switch 2s. There's going to be hellacious software from day fucking one. That's the only way they're moving 20 million Switches. And the only way they're moving 20 million Switches during the launch is that they have to launch before August. That's the only way you have enough time to sell 20 million Switch 2s by December 31st of this year. You can't launch in September. You definitely can't launch later than that because you're not going to be able to sell all that. So I think that's really two things that was very indicative. That was big indicators of when this system is going to come out and what it's going to launch with it. Mario Kart alone will sell 10.5 million or more of those Switch 2s. So I'm saying this simply because I think in April you're going to be pleasantly surprised about what is going to be on Switch 2 and what you are going to get. And I think they put it that far off to sell you these last few Switch 1 games that are coming out and to basically get rid of all the Switch 1 stock they got left. Because, you know, they still got stock of this thing and they still have to get rid of it. It's not going to just disappear. So, yeah, I think that's why it's a little bit far off. And thirdly, I think it also gives developers enough time to fine-tune, polish, get their shit ready for the launch, which is like almost 6 months from now, 5.5 months from now if we're counting June. So I think it gives them time. But once I saw that report that they have 20 million Switch 2s queued up that will be available, that was a dead giveaway that this launch lineup is probably going to be the biggest fucking launch lineup in console history. It's going to be that thorough. So I think everything is on the table. Every possibility is on the table. I don't think you leave no page unturned. I think in April you're going to obviously get more details on Mario Kart 9 and what it's going to be. You're obviously going to see the Switch 2 power on display. I think you're going to see the 3D Mario. I think you're going to see Monolith Soft's next game. I think you're going to see unprecedented third-party support for a Nintendo console that you haven't seen since Super NES. And most importantly, due to the leaks that we had released recently over the last week or so, you are going to see current generation AAA third-party games release on time with all the other versions once the Switch 2 is released. I'm very confident in that, not only because we have a leak confirming that now, but I'm also confident in that because a lot of these developers had Switch 2 development kits since 2022, people. They had plenty of fucking time to get their shit together to get ready. If it was any indication that some people are ready to fucking go and ready for this Switch, it was a lot of third parties that tweeted out excitement for the Switch 2 once it was revealed. One of the more bigger ones was Ubisoft. They was one of the first ones to tweet about "We love Switch 2." That was their tweet. That means all they shit is coming. I really think it's a situation where third parties are really hungry. They are really, really starving for success. And I think some people don't realize that they're not seeing as much success as they saw before, simply because the PS5 and the Xbox Series have basically started off very, very slow. Obviously, both systems, respectively, are tracking behind their predecessors. And the overall install base for both systems combined is, I think it's barely 80 million units, 80 million consoles. So there's not a huge install base for third parties to sell their games to. That's why they're really excited and waiting for the Switch 2 to come out. It opens up to them to obviously put more games on more platforms, but it opens up to them to make more fucking money. Because right now, not everybody's making good enough money. This is why we're seeing people close left and right. This is why people are so willing to do acquisitions and get bought out, because they don't want to close. This is kind of the situation that the third-party developers are in. And if Nintendo's coming out with a very capable console that can play all the games that every other console can play, which is a fact that we know now, they would be dumb not to support it. A lot of them was caught with their pants down last time with Switch 1 and tried to hurry up and, get some of that piece of the pie later on down the line, 6 months, 1 year, year and a half down the line, them Switch 2. It worked for a lot of people. You know what I mean? It worked for CD Projekt Red. It worked for Bethesda. It kind of worked for Ubisoft a little bit. It worked for EA a little bit when they finally caught on, and then magically the Frostbite engine can work on Switch, and now you're putting your games on there. And now, Football Club 2025 or the soccer game is now the second highest selling version is the Switch version out of all versions. Yeah. They kind of understand, we fucked up. We're not going to do that again. You're not going to do that again. It's plus, if you have a system that's going to launch for Mario Kart, oh, yeah, they're definitely going to be, it's going to be so much shit available for this system, it's going to make your head spin. It's going to make your head spin. Because if they want to get some residual benefit off a Nintendo system launching with fucking Mario Kart, you best to believe a lot of people are going to be lined up to have something on day one. And a lot of that stuff is going to be current generation stuff. I'm telling you right now, this is not going to be a situation we're going to see a lot of last generation ports. What I mean by that, PS4, Xbox One shit, you're not going to see a lot of that shit. It just makes no sense. They had development kits too long to continue to do stuff like that. So, and plus, there ain't really shit left on there that anybody wants to rebuy and replay. It's just not there. It's not there. And judging by how social media has taken to the Switch 2, Nintendo Switch 2 reveal, 17 million on YouTube, over 40 million on Twitter X, over 400,000 likes on Facebook, over 500,000 likes on Instagram. If I'm a third-party developer and I'm seeing that shit, if I'm seeing damn near 120 million plus views on a 2-minute reveal trailer that ain't told you shit, I'm in my office right now. What's the MO on our Switch 2 games? Everybody pause everything, focus on that shit. We're not missing this launch. That's what I would do if I was the head of a third-party developer that has a development kit right now. I'm not missing this launch for nothing. I'm not missing this launch for shit. So it's gonna be that type of situation. It's gonna be a kind of surreal situation because we haven't been used to that since the Wii. The last time we had almost equal third-party support for third-party developers was Nintendo GameCube. So it's been that long, and obviously this is going to be a little bit surreal to see. And now I say that simply because I do have a little bit of information that did come out, and why I could so confidently say that about third-party support and games being available on Switch 2 day one and in the launch window being the first 6 months, is because I think people need to remember certain things that they got shown. I'm gonna say shown. Certain things they got shown. As I pull this up here, as this shit is loading hella slow, you know, this is what happens to me. And I remember Nintendo putting this out. I think it was last quarterly financial they put this out, and people kind of overlooked it a little bit. And I was like, y'all shouldn't be overlooking this because this is kind of like important here. And it's basically telling you what you need to know. But, you know, people just wanted to ignore it, you know what I mean? People want to still spread their goddamn bullshit and lies and propaganda, yada, yada, yada. All that good shit, right? So, this was put out by Nintendo in their last quarterly financials. Basically telling them, these are the relationships we're strengthening with for third parties on Switch 2. Obviously, you got 505 Games, Atlas, Namco, Capcom, EA, Ubisoft, Sega, Konami, you know, Koei Tecmo, Square Enix, From Software, Take-Two Interactive, Warner Brothers. I want y'all to understand that, and Epic Games is there, so that's obviously Fortnite, no brainer there. But the most important ones I want y'all to really take note, obviously, is Square Enix, Take-Two Interactive, which basically is the Grand Theft Auto. This is Rockstar. Microsoft, Capcom. One thing about Capcom that people don't know. One thing about Capcom people don't know when it comes to Nintendo systems. Capcom has never, I'm gonna repeat this so people can get this, because this is a stat that people don't know. Capcom has never missed a Nintendo console with Resident Evil or Monster Hunter. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. Capcom has never missed supporting a Nintendo console with Resident Evil and Monster Hunter. Not or, and, which means both have always been there. So if some of you were worried about Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm telling you right now, you ain't got shit to worry about. Throughout the history of Capcom and Nintendo platforms, Capcom has not missed supporting a Resident Evil or Monster Hunter on the platform. Take that information with what you will. But also Microsoft. The Microsoft one is definitely intriguing that this is the one Nintendo decided to put on here in their own internal meeting. This list right here basically told you the developers that are going to be there for launch of the Switch 2. If they wasn't going to be there for the launch of the Switch 2, Nintendo definitely would have not put them on here. For sure. They wouldn't have put them on there at all. I can say that without a shadow of a fact. They put that on there. So soak that in Look at all those people. Look at all those third-party developers. And now, I think this was brought out in September. One of those quarterly financial results, this was brought out, I think it was September. So now after that, there were some other things that came out that kind of correlates with this list of third-party publishers and third-party developers. Sometime, a little bit, about a week or so or less before the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer came out. Before that came out, Nintendo Switch 2 games started to hit retailers in France and also started to hit retailers in America, most notably GameStop. So obviously take it to the, leave it to, leave it to the internet to find these things. You know what I'm saying? Leave it to the internet to find these things. And basically they found out that a lot of Switch 2 games were listed internally for these retailers and game stores. So as you can see, we have companies like Electronic Arts, Square Enix, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, Take-Two Interactive, Electronic Arts. So everything you see on the screen is basically a game and the publisher buy it. What was so interesting about this whole situation, and it made the whole situation very, very, very compelling, it wasn't really surprising about the names we saw showing up internally for pre-orders for Switch 2 games. It was about the sheer amount of games that these publishers were doing. That was the most surprising situation, and surprising thing about the whole thing overall. And the list here goes as follows, which the first one just shocks me. Electronic Arts had 3 Switch 2 games show up in internal systems. Square Enix had 4 games for Switch 2 show up in internal systems. Bandai Namco had 3 games show up in internal systems. Bethesda had 2 games that show up. Warner Brothers has 2 games that show up. Take-Two Interactive, which is Rockstar in 2K, Take-Two Interactive has 2 games that showed up as Switch 2 pre-orders for games. Now, you gotta ask yourself, right? What in the hell could possibly be those games? That's the most exciting part here, because the most shocking part here was not Square Enix with 4 Switch 2 games. It was EA with 3 Switch 2 games. And I think we're finally going to get that drought ended by EA. Now, granted, these all can be Switch 1 games and not Switch 1. These all can be Switch 2 day 1 games, and also can be Switch 2 launch window games. But seeing these are the first companies that popped up immediately once Switch 2 games were able to be pre-ordered, I'm going to say about 90% of these games are Switch 1 launch games, which puts this launch pretty significantly higher than previously before. But the sheer number of games coming from EA was probably surprising. I guess we'll probably see Madden finally return to the platform in all its courage and glory. I guess we'll finally see, college football finally grace for, Nintendo platform for the first time. Maybe Star Wars comes over. Jedi Survivor game comes over. Square Enix, I'm willing to bet that's pretty much everything Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII from Square Enix has been rumored since the first Switch 2 rumor about running Unreal Engine and running Final Fantasy Remake PS5 version with no problem. This was like one of the first Nintendo Switch 2 leaks and rumors that came out about the power and capability. So Square Enix having 4 games ready up for Switch 2 already, you best to believe that's Final Fantasy Remake. You best to believe that's Final Fantasy Rebirth. You best to believe that's Visions of Mana. You best to believe that's Final Fantasy 16. It's going to be Final Fantasy heavy with that shit. Automatically. But one thing that brought up the 2 Bethesda games. The 2 Bethesda games that are listed. Now, I have my theories about what this is going to be, but I think it's pretty obvious what those 2 Bethesda games is. And no, it's not fucking Skyrim. Like I said, it's not fucking Skyrim. There's not going to be a lot of last generation port things. What Bethesda game was notoriously supported and released on the Switch 1? Doom. I think it's pretty safe to say that Doom, The Dark Ages, is definitely one of those Switch 1 launch titles because Bethesda is here in the database, as you can see. Now, the second Bethesda game, I'm not quite sure what that could possibly be. I'm not sure. But I'm willing to bet, I don't know. Could Elder Scrolls 6 finally be shown this year? Possibly. Could it be Starfield? I don't know. But considering that Bethesda shows up internally and Microsoft is on their own internal document, I think we're going to see a lot of stuff from Microsoft-owned studios and developers. And as far as Take-Two Interactive goes, they have 2 games that show up. 2 games that show up. I'm willing to bet one of those is NBA 2K. NBA 2K has released on Switch 1 since launch, and it's been there every year. So that one of those has to be NBA 2K for sure. But the second one is up for debate. A lot of people tried to connect dots, but did not do a good job of thinking it was going to be Red Dead Redemption 2. But like I said, I don't see a lot of last generation ports happening this time around. Simply because it wouldn't make any sense with the technology the system has, and it wouldn't make any sense if you're really trying to sell games and make money and everybody else is selling current generation games. So I don't think Take-Two or Rockstar does Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't think that's what they do. I don't see that as the game that they're going to go with. But I do see the possibility of another game. I do see the possibility of a great game. I do see the possibility of a game that people probably won't admit that will probably most likely be on Switch 2. I do see the possibility of a game franchise finally returning to a Nintendo platform after so many goddamn years. And what I mean returning in form on time. If you thought about that, what I'm thinking about, then you're probably correct. Grand Theft Auto 6. I think that other Take-Two game is Grand Theft Auto 6. No, I'm not saying Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to release the same time on Switch 2 as the PS5 and the Xbox Series versions. Nah, I don't think that's happening unless Rockstar been working on that shit since day one and they just never could say anything about it. I don't know how likely that is, but I'm willing to bet the whole house. I'm willing to go all in on Grand Theft Auto 6 being announced for Switch 2. It ain't about no capability. We know this Switch 2 system is very capable. We know it's very capable of what the Xbox Series and the PS5 already does. We also know it has tremendous advantages with DLSS technology. Obviously, enhanced ray tracing capabilities. We already know that. So capability and able to run is not going to be a thing this time around, and I think that's going to hurt a lot of people's feelings because that's pretty much the only arguing point they got when it comes to Nintendo platforms. But that's not going to be the case this time around. All signs point toward that. But I think it also has to do with a situation that I basically touched on earlier. The install base for PS5 and Xbox Series is not that big. And with the PC version coming way later on down the line, you best to believe Rockstar has a lot of vision similar to Nintendo. They want to repeat that success what Grand Theft Auto 5 did. This is why it took so long for Grand Theft Auto 6 to even come to fruition. They're not in making Grand Theft Auto the most expensive game ever fucking made to sell less than what Grand Theft Auto 5 sold. They're going all in to sell this fucking game and to break even more records. And with the PS5 and the Xbox Series install base sitting at 80 million and under, there's no way possible they can succeed and, proceed to do better than what Grand Theft Auto 5 did. They have to release it on more platforms. And I think that's really going to be the sole reason why Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be on the Switch too. And I think we already had indications of that when they brought out the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy HD remaster. That was on Switch. They also brought Red Dead Redemption to Switch later on in its life cycle. So I kind of felt that as probably those games were more about them getting a little bit acquainted with the hardware. And I truly believe that they probably were one of the first developers that got a development kit for Switch 2. And I'm willing to bet everything. I'm betting the house that this game gets announced for Switch 2. It would be a travesty on the Switch 2 side, and it would be a travesty on Rockstar's side if this game does not hit the Switch 2 and is not announced for it. This system is going to be the hottest fucking system of this year. This system is probably going to get over half of the install base of the PS5 and the Xbox Series in its first year. And you're not going to support it with one of the biggest game sequels of all time when you know you have to recoup those billions of dollars you spent making this fucking game. I think the underperformance of the PS5 and the Xbox Series played so well into the benefit of the Switch 2. I think it's going to play very well. I don't foresee any major third-party games skipping the Switch 2. It's imperative that they get that. Square Enix already has been very vocal about not meeting their expectations sales-wise by even just sticking to only PS5. They have to release on other platforms because they're not making any money. That's going to be the same situation for Grand Theft Auto 6, especially with that humongous, ridiculous movie fucking budget they have for this game. They have to make that money back. They're not making Grand Theft Auto 6 money back by only releasing on PS5 and Xbox Series. The install base is not there. You still got people that ain't fucking moved off of PS4 and Xbox One. The install base is not there. Granted, yes, Grand Theft Auto 6 will get some people to move. But if you already using a game to get people to move to buy new systems, why not open it up to every system out there. I don't foresee this game skipping this console. The console is very capable of handling it. The console is very capable of running it. And the future success of this system is very bright, especially after what the reveal numbers engagement on social media has been for this reveal. I think it was already a said deal. I think it's already a done deal. I think Rockstar could not say anything about it simply because the Switch 2 was not announced yet. I don't foresee it being their launch day. If it's their launch day with the rest of with the rest of the version, other console versions, it's fucking game over for those console versions. It's game the fuck over. You telling me I can take Grand Theft Auto 6 with me anywhere I fucking go? Oh, it's over for the competition if that's the case. But I don't foresee, because I really believe Grand Theft Auto 6 development probably started way earlier than we probably thought. It probably started, maybe 2019. I don't think it started earlier than that. I don't think so. But 2019, 2018 probably. You know what I'm saying? Probably when... There's no way development started on Grand Theft Auto 6 before they had PS5 and Xbox Series development kits. So we're looking at 2018, 2019 when it started. And then you get Switch 2 development kits around 2022. It's very hard to have that line up and have that ready for launch day. But having it just on it, period, smart move. I think that's a done deal. I think it's a no-brainer. There's no question about it. There's nothing about that. It's happening. It's fully happening, and everybody can come up with every single solitary excuse they want. Everybody can come up with every single solitary, thing they want to come up with, but I'm sitting up here telling you now, it's happening. It's happening, and it's coming. I don't see any situation to where it does not happen. The numbers are there. It just makes sense. There's just no way for this system to not be there. It has to be there. This game has to be there. It doesn't help Rockstar at all. It doesn't help Rockstar at all to not have that game there. It obviously doesn't help Nintendo and the Switch 2 to not have the game there, but it doesn't help Rockstar to not have this game release on what's going to be the hottest console out. It doesn't help them. Like, people, you can have your epiphanies, your it's not going to happen, or I can't foresee it, and all this other stuff. But you got to understand, this is a business at the end of the day. Businesses are here to make money, people. That's irrefutable, factual motherfucking evidence. You cannot refute that. That's not debatable. There's nothing to debate about that. Businesses are here to make money. And if they want to make money, they got to release on more than the PS5 and the Xbox Series. They have to. There's no choice. And to be quite honest with you, I think they want to. I don't think it's a case about where they're like, oh, we got to release something on Switch. No, I think that's why you've seen Red Dead Redemption. I think that's why you've seen the Grand Theft Auto trilogy come over. I think they were just, gauging and prepping to see, what exactly the reception would be for their games. And obviously their reception for their games are pretty good because they just kept putting the shits on there. So that's where we're going to be at with it. So that's a prediction from me. Obviously, it's a prediction that most people cannot foresee, especially when you got publications and fake journalists and fake tech gurus like Digital Foundry trying to tell you what Switch 2 can and cannot do before the shit even comes out. It's going to be hard for you to believe, but just remember where you heard it first. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. And I'm willing to bet that it will come probably before the PC version even comes. Probably before the PC version even comes. Yes, that's a bold statement to come with, but I think that's going to be the reality of it. That's going to be the reality of it. I don't think anything else is a possibility. I think you have a better chance of Grand Theft Auto 6 being on Switch 2 than you have a chance of Grand Theft Auto 6 not being on Switch 2. And I think those chances are like 70 to 30. That's what I believe. I don't think nobody can tell me different. Like some people say, the data shows that that's most likely the scenario. That's what the data shows. That's what it is. So just imagine for a second. Just imagine a console that not only launches with Mario Kart 9, but will also have Grand Theft Auto 6 within the first probably 8 months of its release. Just imagine that. That's a very, 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 very tough thing for competitors to deal with. Very, very tough thing. And that's not even counting the other shit that we don't even know Nintendo is going to bring out on this system. But what also makes me think that this is happening, as you can see on your screen, a lot of you probably don't even know what the hell this is. Let me try to enlarge this a little bit. See if we could get that, enlarged a little bit. Okay. Now, along with those games that leaked internally for retailers from the third-party developers for Switch 2 games, something also interesting also leaked. Something that's been speculated for a long time, but we just could not put two and two together and confirm it, but now we can confirm it. As you can see on your screen, micro SD express cards popped up for pre-order for Switch 2. Now, I know y'all wondering, like, what the hell is micro SD express? Basically, micro SD express SD cards are bigger, stronger, faster SD cards than your regular SD cards now you use for your Switch. Basically, in confined terms, micro SD express cards are SSD-like memory for mobile devices. So a lot of people had to really question themselves, like, is the Switch 2 going to have an SSD? We all know it's not going to happen. Plus, that would have been very, very hard for them to do without having the thing looking fucking humongous and basically generating so much heat that it would just melt into oblivion. So, but Samsung, luckily, had announced that they was developing this SD Express card, and they partnered with a source to make them. But they never, ever disclosed who that partner was. Lo and behold, micro SD Express cards are now going to be the definitive and only storage option for Switch 2. Now you have to ask yourself, why would Switch 2 need SSD-like storage and memory? What games only require SSD-like storage? Current generation games. That's the only games that require them. Games on PS4 do not require that. Games on Xbox One don't require that. Games on PS4 Pro, they don't require that type of storage. The only games that require SSD-like storage are current generation games that are on Xbox Series S and X and PS5 and PS5 Pro. So that was a dead giveaway. That was a dead giveaway on what the capabilities of this system is. There's no reason to have that type of storage. There's no reason for Nintendo or the mystery partner to partner up with Samsung to make this type of storage. The only reason this type of storage exists because the Switch 2 is going to need it. Why would the Switch 2 need SSD-like capabilities in storage if it ain't going to have games that need SSD-like storage to run? It's simple math here, people. But these are the things that these experts at Digital Foundry don't want to tell you. These are the things that these people on social media don't want to tell you that think they're spec gurus and they're technical spec savvy. There's no other reason for Switch 2 to have this as their main and only storage option for the system. It's simple math here, people. We don't have to go through, is the damn chip 8 nanometer or 5 nanometer? We don't have to do all that. We just have to look at the facts and the info that are put out in front of our faces. It's that simple. And, oh, by the way, these micro SD express cards showed up the same day that all those third-party Switch 2 games showed up internally. I wonder why the SSD cards, I wonder why the SSD like micro express SD cards showed up the same day that these third-party games showed up internal systems for Switch 2. I wonder why it's a coincidence both of those fucking things showed up at the same time. I think even a fucking mouse could figure out what the fuck is going on here. It's very fucking simple. It's very fucking simple. We ain't got to sit here and look at no fucking motherboard. We ain't got to analyze the goddamn memory bandwidth or how much RAM, if it's LP, DDR5 or DDR6. We ain't got to go through all that shit. We just got to go through the evidence that is presented to us right in front of our faces. All we got to do is put 1 and 1 together, and all we got to do is put 2 and 2 together and get the fucking result. It's that simple, people. So it's it's that easy. You know what I mean? Obviously, you can Google micro SD Express for yourself and figure out what it is and what it does and why it's needed, and you will get all the answers you want. But to make that even further, this is why you might have seen the rumors about Tekken 8 coming to Switch 2, because I think a leaker probably somebody linked Namco's Switch 2 internal SKU, and it matches the SKU of Tekken 8 for the PS5 and the Xbox Series. So somebody figured that shit out and figured out one of those games are probably Tekken 8, which is kind of crazy because Tekken 8 been on Nintendo in a while, I think since Wii U. Also, you probably heard about Metal Gear Solid Delta. Yes, that one. The Metal Gear Solid 3 remake that's been announced with PS5 and Xbox Series. That has also been linked to as one of the games for Switch 2 that showed up early. And Konami was one of those people on that internal document from Nintendo. Namco Bandai was one of those companies that was on that internal document from Nintendo. So all this stuff is basically adding up all together. We ain't got to have all this speculation and talking about performance and all this other shit and people trying to get theories on what the fuck is happening and what the chip nanometer. We ain't got to do all that shit. We just got to line shit up that comes from the horse's mouth, and we got the answers we need. It's that fucking simple, people. It's that easy. So yes, Tekken 8 was one of the first things that people figured out was, and the next one they figured out, and I don't know if Nate the Hate said this, but I don't know if it was him, but somehow they figured out Metal Gear Solid Delta was one of the games too that was coming from Konami that was coming to Switch 2. So if you basically was still worried about whether this system is a current gen system, you can put that shit to bed. All you have to do is Google micro SD Express and you have your answer. That's it. You have your answer. But nobody has brought this up. Like, I seen social media posts about this maybe 1 or 2 times, but there's no games that require this type of storage. There's no games that require this type of fast storage. The only games that require this type of fast storage are current generation games that are on Xbox Series and PS5. No other games require this. So you got your answer. You got your answer right there and there. So it is what it is. And also, by the way, one thing that was a dead giveaway early on, before any Switch 2 rumors really got ramping up, was Microsoft signing a 10-year contract for Call of Duty with Nintendo. Like, I think that was a dead giveaway, people. Like, that was a super fucking dead giveaway. But somehow we are still talking about this thing possibly being a PS4 in fucking January of 2025. It's like, just believe what comes out the horse's mouth. You don't have to speculate anything else. You can only take what the people give you. They did not sign a 10-year contract for Call of Duty to be content and feature parity with Nintendo for 10 years if the system was not capable of doing that. Like, I'm telling you now, Call of Duty is not being supported on Xbox One and PS4 for 10 years. It's not happening. This is just basically common logic and common sense, and a lot of these people that call themselves tech gurus or tech experts or tech savvy, they lack common sense and common fucking logic. There's no logic in it. It's like, that makes no sense. If the Switch 1 already plays Xbox One and PS4 games, you expect the Switch 2 to play PS4 and Xbox One games? How does that make any fucking logical sense? Why would they call it Switch 2 if that's what it's going to do, the same fucking thing? It wouldn't be called Switch 2. It wouldn't be called a successor. It wouldn't require SSD-like storage. It wouldn't have DLSS technology if it was a PS4. And that's one of the main things that irks me. It's like, you can't have DLSS technology in your system from NVIDIA and be a PS4. You can't have that. That's stupid. It's impossible to do that. The PS4 tech is over 10 years old. DLSS requires modern and new GPU technology. You can't be a PS4 and have DLSS technology. It's so fucking simple to understand. But obviously a lot of people are not tech savvy. They're not into tech like that. They're not into specs like that. I'm not into it like that. But I understand the basics of how it fucking works. So every time I see somebody say PS4 and Switch 2 in the same sentence, it's like, it's impossible. You can't have DLSS technology and be a PS4. DLSS technology is not going to work on 10-year-old tech. It's not. It requires modern technology that came out in 2020 and newer. It's impossible. Like, it's so much stupidity going around. It's just hilarious. I don't know. And I thought people would learn from the first time when Switch 1 got announced, and people perceived that Switch 1 would be able to play any Xbox One and PS4 games, and we turned to right the fuck around, and it was PS4 and Xbox One games on Switch. I will never forget the reactions of people when they seen Doom running on Switch for the first time. Like it was some kind of mythical creature that ascended from the fucking heavens. It's like, no, bitches, your experts were wrong. That's why you're fucking flabbergasted right now. You're people that are not really experts, that are only speculative and only fucking talks about their fucking opinions like it's facts. They were wrong again. Like, it just kills me. And I still see it. I saw it yesterday, people still saying this. It's like, bro, ignorance cannot be that abroad. Like, it can't be. I refuse to believe Americans are not this fucking stupid. I refuse to be. So it's not about Switch being more powerful. So it's not about Switch 2 being more powerful than the Xbox Series S, X, and PS5. It's about Switch 2 being in line with the Xbox Series S and X and PS5. It doesn't have to exceed those. It just needs to be in line to run these games. That's all that it requires. Now, how far and how small that gap will be, we'll soon find out. We don't know exactly how, this DLSS technology is going to work when combined with dedicated gaming hardware. Keep in mind, this has only been on PC, which is an open platform. It's not dedicated gaming console hardware. So I think the results are probably going to be even stronger on a dedicated gaming device. So it's like we're going to see some mythical, magical shit, basically is what I'm saying. You're going to see some mythical, magical shit coming out. So, but you ain't got to worry about current generation games. You're going to see it. A lot of insiders have already came out and said that. Obviously, you see the games that leaked internally for the system. Obviously, you see the third-party companies that Nintendo put on their own internal graphic and showed you. So it's like we're past that point. I don't know when social media is going to get past that point. Maybe they'll get past that point in April when they finally show you these games running on Switch 2 and we can finally move the fuck on and talk about something else. But, you know, the ignorance on this is just crazy. But if you needed your answers of people still trying to tell you it's a PS4, PS4 does not have an SSD. PS4 has old ass GPU technology. PS4 has old ass fucking storage technology. PS4 Pro has old ass GPU technology. PS4 Pro has old ass storage technology. Switch requires new micro SD express technology. That is what it requires. It requires that for a reason. Not just because they just want to fucking sell you a $50 and $90 fucking micro SD express card. It's because it's required. It's required for a reason. Now, what that entails of what you are going to get is going to be pretty simple. You're going to get 1080p in handheld mode. You're going to get 4K docked in dock mode. That's what it entails. Now, how small that power gap is going to be to the other consoles, I think it's going to be very, very minimal, simply because of the DLSS technology. So there's going to be situations, and a lot of people can't really wrap their head around this, but you got to understand, people, y'all got to figure some of this shit out. You have to understand, when people show you something, believe them. Don't believe their words, believe their actions. There's a reason why Valve came out with a beefier Steam Deck. There's a reason why the ROG Ally came out with a beefier model. There's a reason why the Legion Go is coming out with a beefier model. There's a reason why Sony pushed and rushed out the PS5 Pro with PSSR technology. There's a reason why these companies did those things. Can you figure out why the reason is? Sony didn't push out the PS5 Pro and PSSR technology to beat Microsoft. They already was beating Microsoft. They pushed that shit out so they could be the first console, technically, to have an AI upscaler. Basically beating Nintendo to the punch of being the first to have DLSS AI technology in its console. That's why they pushed the fucking PS5 Pro out. They could not have a Nintendo system having more modern hardware than their PlayStation brand. Oh no, they could not have that happen. They had to push that shit out very, very quickly. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. Keep in mind, you only heard about a PS5 Pro being in existence after you heard about DLSS being an option for the Switch 2. Nobody really wanted to take that tidbit, but that is the reason why the PS5 Pro came out why it is. Why do you think they keep pushing out bigger and stronger mobile handheld PCs? It ain't because they trying to beat each other. They're trying to beat the Switch 2 to the punch. This is why they're pushing out. I think the Legion Go is having a whole nother model coming out this year in a couple of months. Another one. They're pushing this shit out so they can beat the Switch 2 to the market. That's all this shit been about. Now, granted, it ain't gonna matter a fuck at all. It ain't gonna stop Nintendo at all, but they want to be out there first and they want to be out there on the market already when this Switch 2 hits. Because if they come after, they have no chance. They have no chance to compete. And that was once I found out about the PS5 Pro, that told me everything I needed to know about the Switch 2. You gotta understand, these companies know about shit well before we get it as a leak on the internet. So, you're trying to tell me Nintendo's coming out with a console that's gonna run games at 4K, run games at 1080p in portable mode, have frame rates 60 frames per second and above? Oh, hell no. Sony said, hell no. We can't let them do that. We can't let them come out and put our PS5 to shame. We gotta put something out expeditiously. And that's what that shit was about. That's all that shit was about. Because you gotta think to yourself, the PS5 Pro was made to beat who? Wasn't trying to beat the fucking Xbox. They was already pummeling the Xbox into the ground. It was to beat Nintendo to the fucking punch. That's what it was for. People just could not put the pieces together. It made fucking sense. Why are these companies pushing out their mobile PCs so rapidly? Why are they showing them so quickly and pushing them out so rapidly? So they can beat the fucking Switch 2. Because they already know what's in the bitch. They know what the Switch 2 has. They know what it's capable of doing. The developers and these third-party companies, they have the real fucking info. Not your favorite fucking YouTuber, not your fake technical analyst like fucking Digital Foundry, not your favorite person on fucking Twitter, X, or Facebook. These third-party companies know what the fuck is going on. They have the real fucking intel and info. And if you just follow people's actions, you will get the answers you want. Because there's no reason for the PS5 Pro to get pushed out like it did. There's no reason for these mobile PC guys to be pushing their mobile PCs out at an accelerated rate the way they're doing. They're trying to beat the Switch 2 to the punch. That's all it is. And if you need more evidence about what I am telling you is factual, go on Twitter, look up PC Gamer. Soon as the Switch 2 was announced, PC Gamer put out a tweet about how Switch 2 ain't going to be able to compare to the new mobile PCs. You can look up that tweet right about now. You can do it right now. Just go into Twitter X right now, type in PC Gamer. They tweeted it yesterday, or you won't have to scroll very long. That was their first fucking tweet. They're trying to beat Switch 2 to the punch. That's all it was about. But yet, for some reason, the naysayers and the journalists want you to believe it's a PS4. Them third parties, they ain't buying that shit. These mobile PC guys, they not buying that shit because they already know. That's why. So that's all you need. And if you have if you do anything after this live stream, is that you need to just do a quick Google search. It takes 4 minutes to read about micro SD Express. Do a quick YouTube search of DLSS technology and how that technology is exclusive to only NVIDIA graphics chips. It's only exclusive to NVIDIA themselves. So this technology cannot and will not be on any other platform, even the PS5 Pro. So this is technology that will only be capable on a Nintendo system. Xbox Series S ain't gonna be capable of doing it. Your PS5 Pro ain't gonna be capable of doing it. Nothing else is gonna be capable of doing this. You're going to have your imitations, which is PSSR. It's an imitation trying to get the results of what DLSS does, and it does a shit job of doing it because it was Rust technology anyway. But it's only going to be something that is in a Nintendo system. And I think that really scares the competition. For Nintendo to have a modern technical advantage over other systems, I think that just scares them to death. That's the reason they all react in this way. So, yeah, just Google DLSS and everything will line up for you. Remember, we first heard about Switch 2 rumors in 2022. DLSS really started kicking off in 2022. I think it debuted before then with the first DLSS version, but they're up to version 3 now. They debuted version 4 over CSS a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, the rumors started coming about NVIDIA developing a Switch 2. DLSS was really kicking off around 2022. That's when you started hearing about it. That's when you heard about the development kits. It all comes to fruition. It all just adds up like a big piece of fucking puzzle. That's all it does. So, that's really the truth about why a lot of that shit went down the way it did. So, like I was saying, everyone else uses AMD. Matthew Hammond is correct in the chat. And that's the advantage Nintendo has. Nobody uses NVIDIA technology, and NVIDIA technology, GPU-wise, is superior than AMD's. That is the consensus. This is why you see the PC guys, always regurgitating those fucking numbers of 4090 and a 50-something and a 3090. And it's like, those are all NVIDIA graphics chips. When you see those PC tech zombies do that bullshit, that's what they're talking about. Those NVIDIA graphics chips on PC. So everybody else uses AMD. Literally, everybody uses AMD all the way down to the mobile PCs. And Nintendo is the only one that's stuck with NVIDIA. NVIDIA has a superior technology, and Nintendo's going to take advantage of that. So I think it kind of really scares a lot of the competition. So they're doing everything in their power to not be left behind by Nintendo, of all people, in the tech area. That scares them a lot. That scares them a whole fucking lot. A whole lot. So on the topic of DLSS, NVIDIA literally has a 2-minute video. You could just Google DLSS and watch it for 2 minutes, and you will fully understand how it works. And I'm pretty sure after you watch that 2-minute video, your excitement for Switch 2 is probably going to triple. It's probably going to triple. So that's how all that shit played out. So don't worry about if the Switch 2 is going to play your current generation games, or if you're going to get the major third-party multi-plats. You are. Don't worry about Monster Hunter fucking Wilds. Don't worry about Call of Duty. I'm telling you right now, don't even worry about Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, everything is working in Nintendo's favor right now. The industry is on a decline. The industry needs a fucking jumpstart. It needs a shock. It needs a boost. The install base of the PS5 and the Xbox Series is not big enough to support these third parties and their big fucking humongous budgets and games that they have. They have to sell more. The third party that's been the most vocal about this has been Square Enix over the last couple of months. They have been very fucking vocal. We cannot stick to one platform anymore. We have to sell our games on multiple platforms and consoles to be profitable. And that is the situation for the majority of third parties. It's now about a situation of survival. It's not a situation about Sony money hatting people. It's not a situation about I'm going to work with this company more than this company because I'm cool with them for more years. It's about survival now. And Switch 2 is going to be the lifeline to this fucking industry. Yet again, Nintendo has to save the gaming industry from themselves. And they're going to benefit from it. And I think there was an article that came out recently, probably about a month ago, where an analyst predicted that the market is not going to be big enough for a big three anymore, that Sony or Microsoft is going to have to bow out because Nintendo is going to be that dominant. And I think that's probably going to be facts. I don't see a situation where the Switch 2 fails, especially if you launch with Mario Kart. I don't see a situation where the other consoles are going to be able to stunt the growth of Switch 2. Like, nobody has their shit together, especially Sony. They're still canceling games left and fucking right. You don't have any goddamn lineup for exclusive games for PS5 still. It's 2025. Microsoft said, fuck it, everything is a goddamn Xbox now. They said, fuck it. Microsoft literally said, fuck it, everything is an Xbox. They said, fuck it, we can't do this anymore. It's really a situation where we can see Nintendo so dominant that I don't think we can see Xbox and PlayStation be as a viable option for gamers in the near future. Probably in the very, very near future. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. So, yes, you have current generation games. Yes, your games are pretty much going to look like Series S versions of games. In most cases, your games will look better than Xbox Series X games. I mean, Xbox Series S games. In most cases, because of the DLSS technology. You got to understand that, the teraflop wars are over. And that's a quote coming from, the quote-unquote gaming experts at Digital Foundry. They said the teraflop wars was over. The architect of the PS5 Pro, the guy who made the fucking PS5 Pro, said teraflops are dead. Teraflops are over. Teraflops don't dictate what the capability of a system is anymore. So anybody try to quote you teraflops again, just tell them to teraflop it up their ass. That shit don't matter anymore. GPUs are working smarter now, not harder. And the DLSS technology and everybody trying to copy it now is the new wave. It's not about pushing that broad force power anymore. It's about working more efficiently and more effectively from a GPU standpoint and a hardware standpoint. And the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be the first console to do that. It's going to be wild to have games that run better on Switch 2 than they run on PS5. That situation is going to happen. As crazy as that sounds, that's a situation that is likely going to happen. And it's probably going to happen a lot. Simply because of the technology that the Switch 2 has. And it doesn't have to have the utmost raw power that the PS5 has. It just has the newer, more efficient GPU technology, the most modern technology, the technology that these other systems do not have in their system. It's that simple. And I'm not going to split hairs with people about upscale 4K, native 4K. That shit does not fucking matter anymore. It don't. When you put the fucking game in the dock and you turn on your TV, that shit is going to say 4K. That's what's going to be displayed on your screen. I don't give a fuck, or the person who's playing the game ain't going to give a fuck how it got to that point. Whether it was native or upscale, it ain't going to matter. It's not going to matter. You know what I mean? So, Mark Senry, that's his name. The Mark Senry is the PS5 architect, the dude that made the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. Him himself said teraflops ain't going to matter no fucking more. They don't matter no more. So, cause that's where technology has driven for graphics technology for games. So, a lot of people still try to use the teraflop thing, argue with people. Just tell them to go teraflop fuck themselves. That's what you need to go tell them, because that shit don't matter anymore. And that's exactly what's going to be the case when the Switch 2 comes out. When the Switch 2 comes out and those fake ass fucking tech experts at Digital Foundry push these third party games up against each other, and the Switch 2 is beating these other fucking consoles out, and you're trying to figure out why, I just told you why. I just told you why. From a game perspective, from playing your game's perspective, for performance and quality in game, that's where Switch is going to excel at. That's where Switch 2 is going to excel at tremendously. And I don't think people are ready for it. I don't think people are ready for that. But we're also backed that up. After I went on that small little rant there, we're also backs that up, because I said we got to go over all this stuff, right? We got to go over all this shiznick. Launch games for Switch 2. Now we got to talk about launch games. I've already said Mario Kart 9. I already gave you the third-party companies that already showed up in retail stores' databases of who's going to be there during Switch launch day one and Switch launch window. But I want to make it very, 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 very perfectly clear for people. Very clear for you people to understand what I mean by what Switch 2 capabilities is going to be. Basically, how games look on Xbox Series S, X, and PS5 is how your games are going to look on Switch 2. That is the most simplest way I can put it to you. The games that run on Xbox Series S, X, and PS5 are the same games that's going to run on Switch 2. That's the very simple I can put it. No, your games are not going to look PS4 quality. like I said, DLSS technology is from 2020 and newer. It's impossible to look like a game, a system that launched in fucking 2013. It's not possible to do that. Like it's that's what we're looking at. And Nintendo gets a hold of power like that. Oh my God, Monolith Soft is gonna move fucking mountains. That 3D Mario team is gonna do some crazy shit. Oof. That Fire Emblem team, oh my God, bruh. Retro Studios get a hold of that shit. Next Level Games get a hold of that power. Ooh. God damn. It's gonna be some crazy. We're gonna see some crazy. The Zelda team get a hold of that power. Game Freak. Well, Game Freak probably still gonna be trash. I ain't gonna. Game Freak probably still gonna be trash. I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm not even gonna hold you on that one. Unless Game Freak learned how to fucking develop in 3D by now and use HD textures for the first fucking time in their goddamn lives. I don't see nothing. I don't see nothing changing with Game Freak side. But everybody else at Nintendo, woo. Sakurai get a hold of that power. Woo. And Sakurai always pumped out the best looking games on Nintendo platform. Smash Brothers was always one of the best looking games on a Nintendo platform ever. Ooh, man, y'all don't think y'all ready, bro. I don't think y'all ready. I don't think y'all ready for what y'all about to see. I don't think y'all ready at all, bro. Can you? I don't think y'all ready, bro. I don't think y'all ready. But yeah, for launch games for the Switch 2, I kind of like saw this image and I kind of like agree with it like 100% on what the launch games are going to look like, based off of obviously the companies that's been in the internal database, obviously based on Nintendo's internal own graphic they showed you about third parties they're working with, and based on the history of what came out on Switch 2. So I really believe that this is probably going to be what the lineup is most likely going to look like. Obviously, you're going to add in Tekken 8 and what's that other game? Tekken 8 and Metal Gear Solid Delta. So I think the launch lineup is going to look like this. But first, I need to show y'all this nice, interesting quote from a known Nintendo leaker who basically had this to say. PH Brazil, if y'all know him off of Twitter or whatnot, you probably know him. He said, there are more games from Microsoft being developed for Switch 2 that I know of than any other company. Keep in mind, Microsoft was on that they was on that graphic that Nintendo themselves presented to investors. Now it says, I won't go into details yet, but out of all the companies I'm aware that are making Switch 2 games, the largest list of confirmed games is from Microsoft. Literally, there's more games from Microsoft for Switch 2 than any other company. It's a lot of stuff. A lot. Now that last line really got me. Like I said, I already showed you that Bethesda already has 2 games confirmed, which are probably launch games for Switch 2. That's from Microsoft, so that's 2 right there. But he's telling me right now, Microsoft has the largest list of confirmed games for Switch 2. And he put a lot in capital letters. That says a lot. You know what I mean? And after this was put out, Nate the Hate, if y'all don't know who he is, a notorious video game leaker who accurately predicted when the Switch 2 reveal trailer was going to come out. He went on to say that Halo Master Chief Collection and Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator, are going to release on Switch 2 this year. Now you have another separate source saying a similar and even grander thing. Then you already have the confirmation that 2 Bethesda games are already coming out. So, like I say, I'm gonna say it again. I'm pretty positive Microsoft Flight Simulator ain't gonna run on a PS4. I think I'm pretty confident in that Microsoft Flight Simulator, it's not gonna be able to run on 10-year-old, 13-year-old hardware. It's not happening. And to have Microsoft have the most games out of any company, that kind of lets you know. So we already have Microsoft telling you Call of Duty is here for 10 years. Then you got somebody also confirming Microsoft is bringing Microsoft Flight Simulator and Halo Master Chief Collection to Switch. Then you have another separate source that said they're bringing more games than anybody. Then you have another separate source that confirmed that Bethesda is releasing 2 games at launch. I'm sorry, y'all, but I mean, when people show you who they are, believe them. There's no amount of PS4 games that can equal this amount of support from Microsoft. There just isn't. And I'm sorry, Flight Simulator will not be a game that we're releasing on PlayStation hardware, PlayStation 4 hardware. It will not be happening. So, like I said, you got more proof to put into to pretty much determine what you know this console is going to be capable of doing. So that's like 4 times the confirmation of what Microsoft is going to do. And the thing is, they emphasize a lot, and they said a lot twice, and they said it in capital letters. So I already said Doom Dark Ages, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Halo Master Chief Collection, 2, and it's another Bethesda game we don't know. But he said a lot. 3 is not a lot. So if he said a lot in capital letters, it must be a lot of shit. It at least has to be 6 games or more. So that opens up the window for everything. And the thing is, I'm really thinking about what would fit best on the Nintendo platform rather than what I would want to come. So this puts me in a situation to say, I think Elder Scrolls 6 is one of those games. I think we finally do see that this year. I think Elder Scrolls 6 is another one to add to that list. I also believe, and this will be a great thing for both fan bases alike, I think one of those games is Perfect Dark. It works. Perfect Dark has history on Nintendo platform. If Microsoft wants to guarantee Perfect Dark to be a success, it's a no-brainer for Perfect Dark to release on Switch 2 and Xbox Series. I think that's a no-brainer right there. So I believe it's Perfect Dark. I do believe the Microsoft Flight Simulator and Master Chief Collection, because Nate the Hate said so. I think Elder Scrolls 6. I'm just really not sure what the other games could be. But I'm very confident in Perfect Dark being one of those. Microsoft had already shown that if they're a history with Nintendo on a certain thing they own, they will do something with it. This is why Banjo-Kazooie came over to Smash Brothers. I think the games came over too on NSO. GoldenEye came over on NSO. So they've been working with Nintendo on legacy shit that Microsoft owns now. So I think Perfect Dark just is a perfect goddamn union. I think that just makes sense to me. It makes perfect sense. I think Perfect Dark on Nintendo Switch 2 and Xbox Series makes perfect sense. Would it end up on PlayStation 2? Maybe, probably so. But I was trying to tell people, I think this Survive Together partnership with Microsoft and Nintendo go back for a while. I think you're going to see... I think the second Bethesda game, as crazy as it sounds, I think it's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Keep this in mind now. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle works and runs flawlessly on Xbox Series S, which is also that's a technical marvel in itself. But yeah, I think I just figured it out just talking about this. Hellblade has a history on Nintendo Switch already, so I think Hellblade 2 will probably be one of the games. And I think Indiana Jones and the Great Circle will be the other game, simply because they announced the PS5 version for spring this year. So that could be any time between April and June. What comes out in between April and June? Switch 2. So Indiana Jones and the Great Circle probably will get multi-platform releases for PS5 and Switch 2. Hellblade has been on Switch already, so that wouldn't be far from the stretch for Hellblade 2 to come over. Perfect Dark, like I said, has perfect history on Nintendo's platform, so that would be a no-brainer if Microsoft is going to do that. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense to do Perfect Dark 2 on Switch 2. But like I said, like you see on your screen, he emphasized a lot. And I'm just trying to sit here and think, like, what else they have coming out that could be that? And I think I know what the other one is. And I think it's not going to be a great time to be an Xbox fan or Xbot, because I'm going out on a limb and I'm thinking another game that could be confirmed for Switch will be South of Midnight. I think the style of that game fits the Nintendo audience perfectly. If you haven't seen South of Midnight, it's a crazy goddamn looking game. It's a crazy kind of action platformer type of game. It looks really good. I think South of Midnight probably will be one of them. The only thing I'm really iffy about is Gears of War E-Day. I'm iffy about that. I don't think that's coming out this year any fucking way. I don't know why people think that is coming out this year. I don't think that's happening. Gears of War E-Day, I'm not sure about that one. Clockwork Revolution, I'm not sure about that one because that one was so far in development. But one, yeah, that's the only ones I can really think of right now. Yeah, that's the only ones I could think of. I'm not ready to say Gears of War yet. I'm not ready to say Gears of War yet, but Perfect Dark, yes, I'm all in on Perfect Dark. I'm kind of all in on South of Midnight, and I'm kind of all in on Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I just think those are the ones that make the most sense, especially if they're Microsoft games made by Bethesda. I think you can count every Bethesda game. Bethesda has shown they're going to support the Nintendo Switch platform. They're going to support Nintendo platform. They've shown that. If anything, I don't think anything from Bethesda is going to be... Any Bethesda game is not going to be exclusive for Xbox. I think Xbox exclusive games are going to be very, very small, insignificant. They're probably going to be legacy Xbox games and titles. I mean, if Halo goes, like, everything is open up at that point. But anything Bethesda, Switch 2. Just go ahead and just stamp it Switch 2. Because Bethesda has shown they're going to put their games on Switch 2. So Indiana Jones, Great Circle, Elder Scrolls 6, Doom, The Dark Ages... Just go ahead and etch all that shit in. It's going to be there. No, I don't see Forza. I don't see Forza. But keep in mind, this man did say a lot. So, Microsoft Flight Simulator sounds like a good thing to do for Switch 2. So, I think that's it for now. That's a lot of games. That's about 9 games. I think that's good. I think that's good. I don't think it's going to be any more than that until we see what else they're coming out with. But yeah, I'm calling Perfect Dark. Like, I'm putting my money on Grand Theft Auto 6 on Switch 2. I'm putting my money on Perfect Dark for Switch 2. Oh, they also have Fable. I don't see Fable happening. Nah, I don't see Fable happening. But I'm putting my hat and my money on Perfect Dark being that. It just makes too much sense. The history is already there. They already approved for GoldenEye to be on Nintendo Switch Online. They already approved for Banjo-Kazooie. They're approving shit that is legacy history with Nintendo. So Perfect Dark, that makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? Perfect Dark makes perfect sense. Let's see what else here. So now this brings me to an image I seen online of possible launch titles, and I think this is going to be pretty accurate. Keep in mind what I told you earlier throughout the stream. So, launch titles for the Switch 2. I think I know what most of them are going to be, and I think this image kind of sums it up pretty good on what the fuck that's going to be here. And this is basically launch day to launch window of what I believe is going to happen. And It's looking highly very likely. Ever since that leak about of the publishers for pre-orders, it's definitely looking like this is definitely going to be the case here, and I highly doubt it won't be the case here. So behold. Now, obviously we have Mario Kart 9. I think that's going to be the first game in the launch title. 3D Mario, yeah, that makes perfect sense. We already know we're going to see 3D Mario. It's been 8 years, almost 9. Shit, 8 years, almost 9. Yeah, we're going to see that. Grand Theft Auto 6. I already told you why I believe that's going to be a thing. Monster Hunter Wilds. Remember what I told you earlier? Capcom has not missed supporting a Nintendo system with Resident Evil and Monster Hunter. History will repeat itself again. The best-selling games in the Monster Hunter series are on Nintendo platforms. Monster Hunter Wilds is definitely it's an easy one. It's an easy one to say. This one, Elden Ring Night Ring. Now, some people say, well, why would it be Elden Ring Night Ring? Simply because, like I showed y'all, that Bandai Namco showed up multiple times in internal systems. So that's multiple games. And it would make sense that Elden Ring Night Ring be one of them. Considering that it is a co-op game experience, I think that's perfectly a way to start. Will the original Elden Ring show up on Switch 2? Possibly. You're probably going to get maybe an Elden Ring current gen port, and then Elden Ring Night Ring will also release on Switch 2. Like I said, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think that's a shoo-in. That was the first Switch 2 game ever rumored. Judging how Square Enix has been talking, it's pretty much a done fucking deal. I don't think we even have to speculate if Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth are going to be on Switch 2 at this point. It is what it is. I just told you my theory about why Doom Dark Ages is going to be there. Every Doom game is on Switch. Bethesda shows up 2 times internal systems for pre-orders. Put 2 and 2 together. Doom the Dark Ages. Now, this is the one that might catch people off guard. The Outer Worlds 2. This is a Microsoft game. So, obviously, this is the other game that could possibly be when Homeboy said there's a lot of games coming to Switch 2. People seem to forget the Outer Worlds was released on the Switch 1. So, if the Outer Worlds was released on the Switch 1, and now we have quadruple confirmation that Microsoft is putting the most games and a lot of games on Switch 2, it just makes sense that the Outer Worlds 2 is one of them. And, oh, by the way, they confirmed it's coming to PS5 as well. So, yeah, I think the Outer Worlds 2 is definitely one of those Microsoft games. So, yeah. That's definitely one. All right, so the next one, the next image, I don't agree much with Pokemon Legends EA. I don't agree with that. Like I was telling y'all earlier, I don't think there's no cross-gen titles. I don't think there's any cross-gen titles. I think backwards capability and the way backwards capability is going to be done this time around is going to be a very, very big vocal point on core focus on Switch 2. So, next thing, Kid Icarus Uprising. I'm going out on a limb and say the game that Sakurai has been working on for the last 2 years is a sequel to Kid Icarus Uprising. I think it's going to be Kid Icarus whatever. Kid Icarus Uprising 2 or whatever else he wants to call it. I think this franchise comes back, and I think that's what he's been working on. Sakurai did say he got approval to work on a game at lightning speed or some shit like that. He said somewhere along those lines. And he's been working on it for 2 years. I'm sorry, Smash Brothers fans, but he's not making a Smash Brothers game in 2 years. It's not happening. And he's not going to make a Smash Brothers game at lightning speed. It's not happening. You know, a Smash Brothers game is a year's process. So the only thing I can think of, he really liked the reception Kid Icarus Uprising got. He was satisfied with how Kid Icarus Uprising sold. And a lot of people love Kid Icarus Uprising on 3DS. It just makes perfect sense that he will make a sequel to that game, and that's the game Sakurai is working on. Because I want to see it. I definitely want to see it, especially with that mouse functionality that we have now in the Joy-Cons. It makes me strongly believe that Kid Icarus is coming back. I think the gameplay would change just a little bit. I don't think it will be completely on rails like it was before. I see it being a little bit more third person action kind of oriented type thing. I don't think it remains on rails. I think it was on rails on 3DS simply because it was just easier to use the stylus to do that. So to keep it on rails like that, but I can see this being a full 3D type adventure for Kid Icarus Uprising, and for Pitt and Palutena and people. So I think that's the game he's working on. I could be wrong, but I think everything is kind of pointing to this is it. This is what he's going to be doing. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, of course, I agree with that. Microsoft signed the contract. It's a no deal. It's a no-brainer. Assassin's Creed Shadows. I fully believe this game is on Switch 2. After Ubisoft tweeted out, "We love Switch 2," after Switch 2 was revealed 2 days ago. There's no doubt in my mind that Crash These Shadows will be on Switch 2. That's easy now. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Absolutely. Dragon Ball is not missing fucking Nintendo's platform. A Dragon Ball game has not missed a Nintendo platform in a very fucking long time. Every Dragon Ball game that has released on Nintendo Switch. It ain't gonna change with Switch 2. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is going to be there on Switch 2, and I'm willing to bet it's going to be their launch day. Metaphor ReFantazio. Like I said, same situation with Dragon Ball. Atlas has been supporting Switch heavily with all the Persona shit. I don't think that's changing. SMT5 was on there. I think Metaphor is a shoo-in. Also with like Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, I think Metaphor ReFantazio is going to be there day one when the game comes out, when the system comes out. I think that's just a no-brainer. I think that's a no-brainer right there. Double Dragon Revive. I can see why this image was put together with Double Dragon Revive, because Koei Tecmo. I think it's a Koei Tecmo game, right? I think it is. Is it THQ or Koei Tecmo? Somebody help me out here. Is THQ or Koei Tecmo? Double Dragon. Who's on Double Dragon? Which third-party company owns Double Dragon? Let me see that real quick. Double Dragon Revive. What company is this? Oh, that's Arc Systems. So Arc Systems was, Arc Systems was on the document. They was on an image of third-party developers that Nintendo did share. So Double Dragon Revive kind of does make sense. I think that is one of the games. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. I think that's a no-brainer. It's Sega. It's Sonic. It's going to be on the Nintendo platform. That's easy. So yeah, I agree with most of these. I agree with 100%. I don't think there's going to be any crushing titles for sure, but I feel very strongly about Kid Icarus Uprising as I do with Perfect Dark. I think everything else in this image here is automatic. Assassin's Creed Shadows is automatic. Black Ops 6 is automatic. Dragon Ball is automatic. Metaphor is automatic. Sonic is automatic. Like, that was an automatic, yes, they're going to be there. I don't think that's even no question about that. But, and then we heard about Metal Gear Rising Delta. Not Metal Gear Rising. Damn, I miss that game so much. Shout out to Platinum Games. Shout out to Platinum Games, man. Platinum Games. Metal Gear Solid Delta, the Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake from Konami. Yes, I think that would be there. So I just want to pull up this image again. As you can see, Arc Systems is up there. So Dragon, what was it? Double Dragon Revive makes sense. Metal Gear Solid Delta makes sense. Here's one I'm going to predict. Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers was on that graphic 2 times. They had 2 games. I'm willing to bet one of those is Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1 could could benefit from a new system because Mortal Kombat is kind of fucking dead right now. Like, it's shockingly dead. From Software is on here, and Bandai Namco is on here. So, yeah, I think if we can see Elden Ring, Night Ring, it just makes sense. 505 Games, that's the one that's kind of getting me. But their newest game is like, is Wu Fallen Hidden Feathers or some shit like that, some kind of action game. Maybe that's the game 505 Games has coming to Switch too. I don't know, but y'all could look that up. Sega, like Sonic Crosswilds, that's easy. Ubisoft, we just seen Ubisoft. Yeah, the only thing that is I can't put my finger on is obviously Electronic Arts and Koei Tecmo. Now, Koei Tecmo, they make the Dynasty Warriors games, and they made the Hyrule and Fire Emblem Warriors games. So I'm gonna probably go out on a limb and say it's a Nintendo IP Warriors game they're doing. Which IP? I don't know. I'm not sure which IP they would do, but I'm definitely saying it's probably likely in a Warriors game for a Nintendo IP. I think they need to try a new Nintendo IP in a Warriors style this time around. I think we're good with the Fire Emblem Warriors. We're definitely good on the Hyrule and Zelda Warriors. Like, we're done. We don't need no more of that. I think they should tackle another franchise. What franchise that could be, I don't fucking know. Obviously, it has to be a popular franchise, or Nintendo probably wouldn't approve it to be a Warriors game. Anybody have any suggestions of what that could possibly be? It's not Fire Emblem and it's not Zelda. So what could fit this Warriors type game from Koei Tecmo? I don't think any other Nintendo franchises fit. I don't think no other Nintendo franchises really fit a Warriors game at all. Like, I don't know. Shit. Kid Icarus, maybe? I could see that being a Warriors game, but I think that's Sakurai's game. I don't think it'll be a Warrior game. Shit, I'm stumped on that. I'm gonna have to come back to that and think about that one. I say that because I don't want to see another Fire Emblem Warriors. I don't want to see another one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we're good on that. I think we're good on the Hyrule Warriors games too. I don't think we need to see another one of those. But here's my theory. I could be wrong. I could be 100% right when it comes to Koei Tecmo. Koei Tecmo did something unprecedented for a Nintendo launch of a different system not too long ago. Can y'all remember what game that was that launched on a Nintendo system from Koei Tecmo? Anybody in chat can figure out what that was? Wasn't too long ago. It was on a Nintendo system. It launched on a Nintendo system. It was from Koei Tecmo. It was one of the better launch games for this system too. Anybody? Anybody in chat can figure it out? I knew y'all probably gonna figure it out. So I'm gonna tell you what I believe this possibly can be, but this is a stretch, but it kind of would make sense to me. Koei Tecmo released Dead or Alive Dimensions on 3DS. I think I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Koei Tecmo is releasing Dead or Alive on Nintendo Switch 2. Maybe a sequel directly to Dimensions. I don't know. But I think that kind of fits where it should be. I think it's just too soon for a Warriors game. And I think Dead or Alive could help the franchise a little bit if it was a launch game again for a Nintendo platform. So Dead or Alive Dimensions launched with the 3DS. It was one of the best 3DS fucking games and one of the best 3DS launch games. It was really, really fucking good. So they can make a sequel to Dead or Alive Dimensions and have it on Switch 2. It wouldn't be too far-fetched. It wouldn't be too far-fetched at all. That's kind of like how I feel about that situation. I would love to see that. to have Nintendo Switch launch with multiple fighting games, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Tekken 8, Dead or Alive. That's a good healthy mix. And I can't count out Street Fighter 6. Capcom might say fuck it, let's put everything on there. Street Fighter 6, Monster Hunter Wilds, Resident Evil 4 remake. Let's put it all out there. They're probably gonna say that, do some shit like that. You never know. So, but yeah. And speaking of Capcom did launch the 3DS with Super Street Fighter 4. So that's another interesting scenario. You know what I'm saying? So that's an interesting scenario for both Capcom and Koei Tecmo. They have shown that they will put their major franchises day one on a Nintendo platform. Capcom did it with Super Street Fighter 4, which, by the way, was one of the most amazing fucking ports ever. Like, that game was everything that game on 3DS was everything and more than what it was on consoles. Crazy. Dead or Alive Dimensions was incredible. Like, it was incredible that was on 3DS. So I mean, I can see that being a very, very possibility of what's going on. So that's what I think about Switch 2 launch games, launch lineups. I think you get 2 Nintendo games at minimum during the launch. I'm talking about launch day and probably 2 months after. Then after that, obviously you're going to get the 3D Mario game, which will be closer to the fall, because that just makes sense. They're going to do that. It's Mario 4 40th anniversary. 3D Mario is going to be there. They're going to launch that closer to the holiday season just to keep the momentum of sales going. So I think it's more. I know it's Mario Kart 9 as the major launch title. Like, we all know this right now. We just don't want to accept it. Well, I have accepted it, but a lot of people ain't accepted. That's the fact. I mean, for a launch title, I think Mario Kart is a perfect launch title. I mean, that's a game that a lot of us put a lot of fucking time in. That's a game everybody plays. So you kind of do want a game that has a lot of replay value out the gate on a new system. So I think that makes sense. And it kind of coincides with what they would do, what they did with 2017 with Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey coming months later. Having 2 big major titles coming like that, I think that will help them sell those 20 million Switches they trying to sell. Metroid Warriors would be fucking insane. Now that I think about that, like, Metroid Warriors would be fucking insane. You put all the hunters in that bitch. Oh man, that would be insane. Honestly, that would be insane. That would be insane, man. But that's how I feel. Sega could be anything. I think it was really interesting that Yakuza Shadow dropped on the Switch recently. I think there's some smoke there. So where smoke, there's fire. I think we might see more of those Yakuza games come over very rapidly. Because dropping that Yakuza game on the Switch, so just shadow dropping it out of nowhere, was very interesting and unexpected. So I think Sega's trying to move to putting more of their games on Nintendo platforms. So the Yakuza series, I would expect that to be there too. Like I said, it's opening up. This lineup is just opening up the potential to be so astronomically huge. It's crazy. It's just fucking crazy. I don't know what that second Warner Brother game would be. I heard people maybe say Hogwarts Legacy, but what was the point? There's no point in doing Hogwarts Legacy. You already did it on Switch. So what's the fucking point to do it again? I don't think people are going to buy it again because you put it on Switch. I think Hogwarts Legacy has sold what it's going to sell. I don't think they do that again. So I don't know what the other Ubisoft games. So I think there was a rumor about Gotham Knights being a game. That would be absolutely a fucking disaster and a waste of fucking money. Don't nobody want to play no goddamn Gotham Knights. I hope they didn't do that. I just hope that shit got canceled, because I know there was some evidence that came out that showed that they actually did port that over to Switch. So I hope that's not the fucking case, because nobody's gonna buy that shit. That's a waste of time, effort, and resources. Nobody won't play no goddamn Gotham Knights. That trash ass shit. But I'm ready to go out on a limb again. I already went out on a limb with my Grand Theft Auto 6. I went out on a limb about Perfect Dark for Switch 2. I went out on a limb for Dead or Alive Dimensions. Dead or Alive being the Koei Tecmo's game, because I just can't see another Warriors game. Or, honestly, I just don't want another Warriors game. So I'm allowed to go on a limb one more time. I'm going to go on a limb one more motherfucking time for you motherfuckers here. And why I'm willing to do that? Because I think, judging by this list, I think this is a very feasible thing. I think it's a very, very fucking feasible thing. I believe, and like I said, I could be wrong. You know what I mean? I could be totally motherfucking wrong, people. I could be totally wrong. I believe that college football is going to be one of EA games. I believe Madden is going to be one of EA games. And I'm going on a limb. I think Battlefield is going to be one of EA games. I say that because Battlefield obviously is going to make its return later this year. They're going to show it. So I think Battlefield will be one of the games. Battlefield needs a reset, so here we are. And I'm willing to go out on another limb. Only because this game was already teased. Only because it has been a sales success. And only because their developer did come out and say they're working on multiple things just a couple of weeks ago. I think every Nintendo fan dream is going to come true. I think we're going to see Astral Chain 2. Yes, we're going to see Astral Chain gang pop the fuck up and actually be real. Astral Chain 2 was teased in the last Bayonetta 3 trailer. I don't think nobody teases shit for no fucking reason. Platinum Games have never teased anything for it to not be anything. They don't do teases like that for no fucking reason. Astral Chain sold very well. Platinum Games came out and celebrated Bayonetta anniversary. I think it was the 15 year anniversary, I think. And it did reconfirm that they are working on a lot of multiple things. So I'm just going to put 2 and 2 together and say one of those things is Astral Chain 2, and we're going to see it. Will it make the launch window? I don't know. It could possibly make the launch window. The last game came out in 2019, and the director did say he already had an idea for a trilogy. But obviously it was up to Nintendo because Nintendo owns that IP outright. Obviously Nintendo believes in the IP because they sold the Wonderful 101 IP back to Platinum Games, and they kept their rights to Bayonetta, and they kept their, they made sure Astral Chain was their IP. So this is why I fully believe that Astral Chain 2 is happening, because it's not Platinum Games IP, it's Nintendo's IP. And they teased Astral Chain 2 in the Bayonetta gameplay debut trailer. So I think that was enough. Even though we did get some confirmation that some people did leave Platinum Games and moved over to Kamiya's new studio Clover that he opened, but y'all gotta understand, Platinum Games did have multiple teams. And Kamiya did not direct Bayonetta 3. Somebody else, I can't remember who was the guy that directed that. But that team that made Astral Chain is still there. That team that made Bayonetta 3 is still there. Some key people did leave, but some key people are still around. So I'm not really worried about Astral Chain 2. I'll be more worried about the future Bayonetta than Astral Chain 2. Obviously, there's going to be some retooling that needs to go around because so many important figures around that franchise did leave for Bayonetta. But Bayonetta 3 just came out, so we ain't got to worry about Bayonetta for at least about 4 more years anyway. But Aspartame, that whole team that worked on Aspartame is intact. I think one of the supervisors left, but that team is intact. And Nintendo owns that IP. So I don't see that going to waste. I don't see that going to waste. I think Aspartame 2 is a thing. I know it's a thing. They would not have talked about having a trilogy ready for it, and they would not have teased it in a trailer of Bayonetta 3. They wouldn't have teased it if it was not a real thing. So that was 2019 is 2025. Shit. Yo, that's 6 years. I'll take that back. Aspartame 2 might be a launch window game. It's been that fucking long since Aspartame. God damn. 2019 to this summer, that's going to be 6 years, man. That's more than enough time to create a sequel to Aspartame. And Platinum Games has been sitting back. Their main teams have been sitting back. We don't know what the fuck they've been doing. You know, they did Bayonetta 3. I know they had another team working on something, and the Aspartame team, I assume they've been working on Aspartame 2 all this time. They had to be doing something. So, I mean, you know, a small team worked on Cereza and the Lost Demon or whatever that eShop game was. So they had to be working on something for this last 6 years, man. They had to be working on something this last 6 years, and I'm willing to bet. I didn't realize Aspartame was 6 fucking years ago, y'all. God damn, it was 6 years ago. So, yeah, I would fucking say Aspartame 2 is probably a launch window title. Shit. At this point, 6 years you had to work on that game. 8 years they had to work on, the 3D Mario team had to work on the next Mario. 6 years to work for the Aspartame team to work on the Aspartame 2. Shit, that might be your big fucking game lineup right there for the launch window of Switch 2. Mario Kart 9, Aspartame 2, new 3D Mario. I don't think any other teams had that much time to work with. We know Monolith Soft is working on something, but I don't think their game is coming out in the launch window. I don't think it is. Because they had their hands in a lot of shit. They had their hands in Tears of the Kingdom. They was doing Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm not Kingdom Hearts 3. They was doing Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Now we know they was doing Xenoblade Chronicles X, the Definitive Edition. So it's like, I don't think they had time to have a game up and ready to go for the Switch 2 launch window. I know we will see it, but I don't think it's there. Good call, Matthew. Shiver Entertainment, we don't know what the hell they're working on. And Nintendo just bought them. So for Nintendo to buy them outright, Nintendo already had in mind what they wanted them to do. So maybe we'll get a peek of what they're doing, though. I don't think Shiver is just there to do ports. That's what people idea is, but I don't think that's why Nintendo bought them. I think they bought them specifically because they are very good with Nintendo hardware, and they understand how to make games on Nintendo hardware. So bringing them in as a developer that could work on the other Nintendo franchises that have been laying around, that's a smart move. That's pretty much what happened with Next Level Games. The people who make Luigi's Mansion and make Mario Strikers and make Punch-Out. That pretty much what happened with Next Level Games. They just kind of really, they really hit their stride with Luigi's Mansion, and now that's their flagship now. So I think Nintendo bought them and already had an idea of what they want them to work with. So I suspect they're working on some other Nintendo franchise. What franchise that could be, I don't fucking know. But I think that's what it possibly could be. I think that's what it possibly gonna be. Yeah, I don't think Shiver's doing ports. Ports of what? Like ports of what? There's not going to be no need to port any Switch 1 games. So ports of what? You know what I mean? It's like, even when I wish I could pull up that document, the same investor meeting that they showed these third-party developers that you see on your screen is the same where they showed their development structure, and they acquired Shiver Entertainment. You know what I mean? And it was for, it was the title of the document in the screenshot and the slide was for internal development teams for software. You know what I mean? Like, Nintendo software. So I just really can't see them just being a port studio. To port what? Like, to port what? Like, I don't understand that. Like, Nintendo's not going to buy a studio to pay them to port third-party games. That's asinine. Like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not their responsibility to do that. Why would they take money out of their pocket to do that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Now, it could be a situation where Nintendo bought them. They also work on their own Nintendo franchises, and they can be lended out to third parties to help them expedite the port process of Xbox Series S, X, and PS5 games to Switch 2. That could be a situation, but I don't think they bought them for them to just work on third party port. Like, that doesn't benefit Nintendo. There was no point in buying them. They could have easily just contracted Shiver Entertainment and not bought them. They could have contracted them to do that. But they bought them outright. So since they bought them outright and acquired them, they're working on a Nintendo franchise. Will they be utilized to help third parties port their games over faster to Switch 2? I wouldn't doubt that, because they already have experience in doing that. So we have seen situations where, like with Monolith Soft, they go off and work with other studios like the Zelda team, the Mario team, the Mario Kart team, and they help with certain situations. So yeah, I can see Shiver probably doing that, but they did not buy them to be a port studio. They bought them because they already had them in mind of what they wanted them to do. So that just makes sense. You know what I mean? That makes no business sense. Like, I'm gonna buy a studio, hold on third parties. You don't have to spend your money on developing your game. I'm going to develop your game for you and spend my money. Does that make any fucking sense to y'all? Come on now. Y'all got to use y'all brain. Like, I'm just paying for your shit just because. I'm not making any money in return on it. You get all the profit from your port. I get a small little... Like, that makes no sense. That makes no sense business-wise. That does nothing for them, bro. So... Can I see Shiver Entertainment helping certain third parties? Yes, I can see that, because they're already acquainted with the hardware and the system and how it works. So now that they're internally with Nintendo, now they got firsthand knowledge of how the new hardware and system works. So they already know how to port shit, So I can see them helping, but that's not going to be their main job. They're going to work on a Nintendo franchise. Otherwise, they wouldn't have bought them outright. Y'all got to keep in mind, they bought them outright. They own them. They are a Nintendo subsidiary now. They are part of the first-party developer lineup. They did not buy them to just do fucking ports. That's not what they did. I think them doing the ports showed that they had skill, and Nintendo's like, oh, we can use them skills that they got. We can definitely use those. But, yeah. They're going to work on the Nintendo franchise. I think they've seen enough out of them to acquire them to do that. Just the same way they've seen enough out of Next Level Games to make sure they bring them in the fold as well. They outright own Next Level Games now. They didn't own Next Level Games before. They just worked with Next Level Games. And Next Level Games kept delivering and said, fuck it. We own you now. Come on into the family. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what Shiver Entertainment's situation is. So they're going to work on the franchise. So I just don't know what that franchise could be. Maybe I could look through their history and see what type of games they always ported, and maybe we could find out what Nintendo franchise they'll probably get a crack at. But yeah, Nintendo obviously is building up. They're building up a system of what studios are going to work with what, so they can keep a steady flow of games coming out for y'all and for everybody. So we don't have nobody tied up. Everybody can have their own timeline. Every franchise have their specific developers and development teams, and they can just work on what they work on. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think about Shiver Entertainment. It was a very, very out of nowhere acquisition. So there's obviously more to that story, and we'll probably figure it out more after we see Switch 2 games come out and come about. So it's now for launch day and launch price. It's the last thing we're going to talk about. I said the launch day. Already said that was probably going to be in June, so I think that's in June. I think the February Direct, you're going to see a lot of games Probably Switch 1 games that ain't been announced. Launch price. Now, for what this thing can do, I think it's going to be $400. I think that's what it's going to be. Obviously, we got the burnt Cheeto that's about to, take back over. And he wants to tariff everybody to fucking death. That can also be a detrimental effect to the Switch 2. Meaning Switch 2 probably could end up being even higher than $400. It's unfortunate, but I just hope there's nothing Nintendo can do about that. Obviously, people are going to shit on Nintendo if the orange Cheeto does follow through with that plan of tariffing people to death. But there's nothing you can do in your business when you got a tyrant like that doing impractical decisions for a country. So it's going to suck for the gamers because you got to understand once tariffs get in place, that increases the cost, and companies are not going to sit there and say, oh, well, you tariffed me 100% more, so I'll just take that out of my cut. Nah, that's not happening. That's not happening. They're just not going to willingly just up and just eat the cost. They're not. The cost is going to be passed on to you. And that's the unfortunate part about how this works, and that's an unfortunate part of why you got to be careful about putting, insane people in charge of stuff. So that's really the caveat. I think that's kind of another reason why the Switch 2 situation has been extended out so long, because they have to see how that plays out as well. I think that also has a indication on why they went for cheaper situations with the Switch 2, being the LCD screen over an OLED screen to keep the cost down. But yeah, that is something that's going to linger in the back of their mind for a while. And obviously Nintendo is going to do what's best. They're going to, they're not going to sell at a loss. They're not going to do that. But they're not that greedy to jack the price up to a point where, all right, I don't think nobody's going to buy this. You know what I mean? So $400 to $500 is what I'm looking at. If everything goes smoothly and we don't have that tariff shit happen, expect $400. If we have that tariff shit happen, we're looking at $450 and above. It is what it is. Like, unfortunately, that's really sucks. It really sucks. So it's just it is what it is. A lot of people don't know about the tariff situation. Obviously, you can YouTube anything and learn about it. Make sure you do your own due diligence and read about it from official documentation on how it works. Don't just take people on YouTube. They'll just feed you anything. It's a monster out here. People will feed you incorrect information on purpose because of who they side with and yada 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 and all that other political bullshit that I want to talk about. But yeah, it's a tariff situation. We know Nintendo is manufacturing this thing in China, and that is the main target for the tariff situation. So that's directly going to affect Switch 2. So yeah. So all I can tell you right now is start saving your money right now for that situation to most likely occur. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully smartness and cooler heads prevail and we don't have to deal with that. But just in case, get your money together. Tariff or not, I'm not missing this goddamn launch. Tariff or not, I'm there day one. I'm in that bitch. I'm not missing it for nothing. I'm buying it day one. I'm on that fucking Mario Kart. I'm enjoying myself, and I'm rubbing it in the face of every PlayStation and Xbox fan and PC nerd so there is. I'm not missing it. I don't give a fuck about no tariff. I don't give a fuck. I have to pay $500. It is what it is. But yeah, I know that's out of the range for a lot of people for what they got going on in their lives. It sucks. I just hope y'all don't take it out on Nintendo if that ends up being the case, because it's definitely not their fault. It definitely be not their fault. So that's how I feel about that on Nintendo Switch 2. Console reveal. Nintendo Switch 2 speculation. Nintendo Switch 2 launch and price date. Launch date and price. Nintendo Switch 2 games. As we went through the whole Nintendo Switch 2 probability on what the game's going to be from the third party's perspective and from the first party perspective. I think Nintendo will probably release 4 to 6 games during the launch window. Launch window being from June to the end of December. Out of those games that are going to be major, like super big games, I really think maybe 3 of them will be super big games. You'll have little shit, probably like 1-2 Switch, the sequel, and shit like that, or Nintendo Switch 2 Sports or some shit like that. Along the lines of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but obviously the new Mario, obviously Mario Kart, and probably another big franchise. Keep in mind, we still get Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Keep in mind, we still getting Pokemon Legends EA. So this is going to be a very, very fucking stacked year. It's going to be very, very fucking stacked. Very, very stacked. Very, very stacked. So I wouldn't mind it being Mario Kart 9, Astro Chain 2, and 3D Mario for the Switch 2 launch window. Obviously, we will see other games that are coming. We will see other shit. I wouldn't mind that, especially when I'm getting Metroid Prime 4 after waiting for so fucking long. And I'm getting, big third-party shit like Monster Hunter Wilds. I can live with those being the big 3 major Nintendo games coming out. I think that's pretty fucking good. I can live with that. You know what I mean? Kid Icarus Uprising sequel. That's obviously going to be major if that is indeed Sakurai's game he's working on. So that would be major in itself as well. So, I can live with that. You know what I'm saying? I think Switch 1 games will still release well into probably September or October. After that, I don't think you see anything else from Nintendo on Switch 1. I think that's it. Once that September hits, I think that's it for first-party Switch 1 games. Obviously, third parties will probably still release shit because you can play the games on Switch 2. So, via backwards capability. So, I think they'll still release stuff. But from Nintendo side, they're going to go all in on this Switch 2. They're going to try to sell those 20 million Switches that they have stockpiled up and ready to go. And that's what it is. So, closing out, we're going to do a little quick Q&A before I get out of here. If you got any questions, hit up the super chat, hit up the chat, you know what I'm saying? And I'll try to answer your questions real quick. For a quick little few minutes before I get out of here, you know what I'm saying? The game is on. I'm trying to catch the end of the game. I got to eat and all this good shit, you know what I mean? So, got to do what I got to do, you feel me? And the Chiefs are up 13-6, so the Texans are really giving it to them right now. It's a one possession game, so this is pretty interesting. I have to see the end of that. So any questions, about Switch 2, you know what I'm saying? All that good shit. I'll try to look at this chat here. But yeah, please make sure you go look up, it's a 2-minute read on what micro SD Express is, because that's what Switch 2 is going to be using. Watch the 2-minute video on DLSS. Those are important things right there that you need to know, because that's going to be relating to your Switch 2 console. So let's see. Let's see what we got here. First question. Metroid Prime 4 is not going to be Switch 2. Matthew, what are you talking about, bro? You be killing me. Like I said, my theory is there's no cross-gen titles for Switch 1 and Switch 2. There's no cross-gen titles for Switch 1 and Switch 2. Why I say there's no cross-gen titles for Switch 1 and Switch 2? Because Switch 2 is fully backwards capable with Switch 1 games, and DLSS technology is going to be a big part of that backwards capability. There's no need to spend resources on cross-generation games simply because of that technology. It's no point. There's no point in doing it. And also, it will definitely help selling the rest of the stock of Nintendo Switch 1s they have left. Trust me, Nintendo still wants to break that 160 million record from PS2. They still want to break that shit. they still probably will break that shit. So keep in mind that. Well, early indications it was Switch 2 was being manufactured in China, and that's where most of the leaks came from, China manufacturing leaks. So I don't think all that was moved from China. They might have different companies, different areas working on Switch 2 at the same time, but I don't think it was fully moved out of China. It would be hard for them to fully move it out of China at this point. Do you think Switch 2 is going to surpass 20 million units before the end of 2025? Yes. If everything happens that's being indicated that I talked about through this whole stream, yes, they will break that record that is held by Nintendo Switch of 15 million sold in 1 year for a console. I think they hit that 20 million. As a matter of fact, I think they could go over 20 million if they just make enough of them. I think that can happen. How long before Sony quit making consoles? I don't know, but they got rid of Yoshida. They got rid of Jim Ryan. They got rid of Sean Layton. That should tell you they're gearing up to do something. And they just canceled a whole bunch of other games already. Hiroki Totoki is not playing with the motherfuckers at Sony no more. He's cleaning house, and he's shaping up to do what he said he was going to do in an interview last year. He's going to get those profit margins up at any cost. And if that means PlayStation is no longer an exclusive brand, then that means PlayStation ain't no longer an exclusive brand. That's what that means. And what I mean by that is that I can see PlayStation kind of going the same route Microsoft went. I don't think they go to the extreme and say everything is a fucking PlayStation like everything is an Xbox, but I do see, and we already seen hints of this, they already released Lego Horizon on Nintendo Switch. They're releasing their games day and date on PC more and more often now. When you see shit, like I said, believe what people are showing you. Fuck what people are saying. Believe what they are showing you. That's the second time that Sony has released another franchise on another platform. So they keep creeping up with it. It's like, okay, all right. Especially as third parties are telling them to fuck off about being exclusive to PlayStation only. They got to make that money somehow. Did Nintendo whoop PlayStation and Xbox ass already in the console? Is not even out. It's hard to say that, but yeah. Seeing how Switch was able to compete against PS4 and Xbox One and still compete with Xbox Series and PS5 consoles after they came out, yeah, I think they're in trouble. There's a reason why you heard rumors about Sony making a handheld version of the PlayStation 6. Why would they make a handheld version of the PlayStation 6? Oh, they're going to copy Nintendo like they always do. It's hilarious how Nintendo always knows which direction to go, and everybody comes fumbling well after they already made the move. I told people when the Switch was first announced that this is the future. People are not going to be able to go back to the traditional console of being stuck in one room after the Switch. It's impossible. I don't want to go back, and I own the Xbox Series X. And sometimes I just think to myself, like, man, I can't wait till Switch 2 come out because I don't have to be tailored to this goddamn room. I don't have to be anchored to one room anymore. And it felt so good to not do that anymore. This is why you see all those mobile PCs being pushed out now. Because the only way PC gaming is going to grow and try to compete with console gaming is that you got to keep up with what the console gamers want. This is why we see mobile PCs. Nobody wants to build a fucking 18-ton fucking rig that costs thousands of dollars, and I'm anchored to this fucking separate room I had to fucking build for myself to play a PC game. Nobody wants to do that shit, and we're not going to do that shit. This is why they came out with these mobile PCs, but it's going to be kind of hard to do PC gaming on the go because how it's structured and how it's made up and how it operates. You know what I mean? It's very hard. That's why they're having a difficult time really selling those things. Yeah. Switch 2 only needs 10 million. We'll get updates on the numbers March 31st. So it doesn't have long to go, but I don't know how much Switch 2 is going to slow it down. That's the problem. I don't think it's going to stop it from selling, but it is going to slow it down. But if Nintendo continues to release Switch 1 games, it can remain steady until they get that record. Oh, MLB The Show is going to be on every platform. Sony has to do that or they have to relinquish the license. So MLB The Show is going to be on every platform. You ain't got to worry about that. Well, I don't know. We'll see about that as far as the Vietnam situation. Yeah, I do see hybrids being the future. We know Microsoft is doing a handheld or a hybrid. We know Sony is now doing a handheld or hybrid. I think hybrids are the future. People still want their traditional gaming setup in the living room or in their room. They just don't want that to be the only way they can enjoy their games. So the hybrid system gets them best of both worlds. Because I tell you right now, I play my games 80% in dock mode. But I know when I have to go on the road, I don't have to worry about missing anything. I don't have to haul and lug some giant fucking shit with me to play my game. I get the same console quality experience on my Switch. I just take my Switch with me. It's going to be very, very hard for people to just do a traditional console and it's only a living room only device. From this day forth, it's going to be hard to do that. So I know Microsoft has already been working on their next generation project. I know Sony's already been working on theirs, but they would be idiots if they come out with another fucking cinder block for a goddamn console. They would be fucking dumb to do that. Now, I don't know how much of the Switch patent that Nintendo owns, so I don't think anybody can actually make an actual Switch. Otherwise, we probably would already have seen it already, but we haven't. So maybe there's something in the way they patented it that nobody can actually do a carbon copy of what a Switch is. Like, you can take it out of the dock and turn it into a portable console and switch it instantly. I don't think nobody can do that per se. I think that's kind of the reason why we seen the PlayStation Portal. It's another reason why we seen the PlayStation Portal, because the Switch is so goddamn popular, and Sony said, okay, we're going to try some shit to try to milk off this shit. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. I might be wrong on that, but I'm just shocked we haven't really seen a complete imitation of the Switch, like that actually switches like a Switch. We haven't seen it, so there might be some patents that people can't get around and make it actually do that. So there was a rumor at some point that PlayStation 6 was coming in handheld form and a traditional console form, which I think would be fucking retarded. So you're gonna make people buy two separate devices to try to mimic the Switch? Like that sounds like fucking disaster. You're gonna have a portable PS6 and a regular PS6. Like, you will have to buy both. That sounds like something I would not want to fucking do. At all. You know what I'm saying? At all. Like, nah. I don't think so. right, let's see what else we got here. I'm trying to skip nobody's shit. You feel me? I think the graphical arms race is not going to take a back seat. I think it's just going to take a different direction. And the direction is AI. It's going to take a different direction. And the direction is AI. That's pretty much what it is. That's pretty much what it is. So, yeah. So, any more questions? Oh, I don't think I see any more questions, y'all. Unless I skip one. Did I skip one? Shit, I might have skipped one. Hold up. I'll try to skip one. Matthew Hammond, I'm not sure about that, about the manufacturing process. We'll see. Yeah, I think Switch 1 will break the record. I have no doubt. Switch 1 will break the record. You got Pokemon, you got Metroid Prime 4. I'm willing to bet there's probably a couple of other unannounced games that are releasing on Switch 1. I think they break the record. And plus, they can always do a price cut. Switch 1 has not received a fucking price cut. So they can always do a price cut. How much in electric bill do you think the Switch saves you? I don't fucking know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, man. Would you rather smash Alloy or Lego Alloy? What the fuck does that even mean? Jack, get the hell out of here, man. You always be doing that silly shit. Nobody want to smash Alloy ugly ass. Get the hell out of here. You know what? Let me play my Nintendo Switch booty clap on that one. Hold on, man. Where my Switch 2 booty clap sound at? Let me pull that back up. Let me pull that back up. Let me pull that back up. Hold up. Hold up, man. Also, hit that like button if you ain't hit that like button, man. Hit that like button, because we going to have these Hill Truth Lives regularly now for 2025. This man said smash Alloy. Have you seen Alloy? Have you seen that face? Have you seen how she look? No, sir. We not doing that. We not doing that. I'm trying to look for this. Where's my goddamn thing, bruh? Where is the trailer? Damn it. Give me the trailer. I'm trying to come back and do this little smash clap. Yeah, I gotta bring it back up. I'm sorry, y'all, but we gotta hear it again. We gotta hear it again. We gotta hear it again, bruh. That sound is so satisfying. I don't know why y'all disagree with me. I don't know why y'all disagree with me. Y'all know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right. Let's listen to it. Listen to it. Ooh. Smack that right cheek. Ooh. Smack both cheeks now. Ooh. Y'all know I'm right on that shit, right? That's the booty clap. That's the Switch 2 booty clap sound, bruh. That's what it is. It's the Switch 2 booty clap sound. That's what I'm gonna call it from now on. We don't snap fingers no more. That's Switch 2 booty claps now. Yeah. Yeah. Change your smoke detector battery. No, I ain't changing that shit. You listening too goddamn hard if you hear that goddamn smoke detector battery. You know what's fucking crazy about that though? You can tell if you're in a black household, all you got to do is listen out for that smoke detector battery. We don't change that shit for nothing. That shit could beep for 5 years straight. We ain't changing that motherfucker at all. Not at all, bro. Thanks for the super chat, though. Leave go. Oh, man. You know you listening too damn hard. Horizon Zero Dawn is going to come to Switch 2. I'd rather it not. I don't care about Horizon like that. Oh man. Did you think Bayonetta Origins was mid? I did not play Bayonetta Origins yet. I did not. I was too focused on Bayonetta 3. I did not play that yet, so there it is. I heard someone mention Switch 2 might be $350. I hope that's true. Will make me happy because I don't want it to cost $400. Switch 2 is not costing $350. Just get that out your head. Don't even put that hope in your mind. Don't put that hope in your mind at all. How are you not hearing it? Because I'm used to it. I don't hear that shit. Yeah, man. Switch booty clap 2. That's what I'm talking about. That Switch 2 booty clap. Went from a snap to a booty clap. Yeah. Do you think Bayonetta 3 should deserve a second chance? A second chance of what? The shit sold well. For once, believe that Bayonetta 3 will be improved. Well, like I was saying before, I don't know if it was in here or not. Switch 1 games are going to be improved by the Switch 2 automatically. That's kind of how the hardware works. That's kind of how DLSS works. Unless they drastically change how DLSS works, that's what's going to happen with your Switch 1 games anyway. So, I mean, we'll have confirmation on that, obviously, in April, but all signs are pointing to that being the case. So, yeah. Yeah, that being the case, bro. That being the case, you know what I mean? So, see, now I hear the goddamn smirk detector because you said something. See, if you didn't say nothing, I would have been subconsciously ignoring that shit like it ain't even fucking existed. Now that you said something, now I can hear it. Like, y'all don't let people enjoy nothing. I was enjoying not hearing that sound for the last however long that shit been beeping. But now I hear the motherfucker. Now I hear it, bro. So, yeah. Any more questions before I get up out of here? You know what I'm saying? We're going to have another Hill Truth Live. What's today? Today's Saturday? Shit, we might have one tomorrow. Shit, you never know. All week we've been having shit leak. So, the Texans now have 12-13. The Texans might fucking pull an upset. So, you know, I got to go watch this. You know what I'm saying? Hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Like I said, go watch some things I told you to go watch, you know what I'm saying? Switch 2 is on the horizon. We have a real, fully capable next generation, current generation console coming in the Switch 2. And it's going to be fucking lovely. And like I said, the day that they show Grand Theft Auto 6 being on this system, I'm going to be very fucking happy about that. Because then we need to have that happen. So... yeah. What games are you hoping to be shown at April Direct? I guess I could answer these last two. 3D Mario. I want to see Monolith Soft's project. I want to see whatever Sakurai is working on. Hopefully it's Kid Icarus Uprising 2. I want to see Astral Chain 2. I want to see Monster Hunter Wilds confirmed. I want to see Madden confirmed. I want to see Grand Theft Auto 6 confirmed. What else would I want to see in April? I want to see what the new crazy console feature is. I think that's the thing that I missed earlier about the details of the trailer. This system is not just going to be a bigger, beefier Switch. This system is going to have a major console feature. If you didn't notice in the trailer, I think I could do that now and show y'all now because I did miss that part. All right, here we go right here. Everybody has seen the link images of the Joy-Cons for Switch 2. Notice that they intentionally edited out the C button in this trailer. The C button under the home button is not visible on the right Joy-Con the whole trailer. So that told me automatically there's more to this C button than what the leaks are telling us. There's another major console feature that they ain't telling us about. Obviously, that was true because that's Nintendo's forte. There's going to be some innovation there. So outside of the pointer controls, which I'm basically predicting that's what it's going to be, pointer control capability, obviously mouse control capability, which they kind of confirmed in the teaser trailer. But they edited out that C button, and it's just a regular looking button. That was done deliberately, so they don't want you to know what that is yet. So it has to be something major that they're going to fully break down in April. Because we can obviously see the buttons there, but there's nothing on the button. We have no information on that button. And we still do not know why we have two USB-C ports, one on the top, one on the bottom. People thinking this is just going to be a simple upgrade, bigger, better, beefier, more powerful switch. No, the innovation is going to be there. The innovation is going to be there. And I think Nintendo is at least happy that that part of their system has not leaked. So, you know what I mean? Even though visually the system got leaked, but software, UI, features, all that has not been leaked. Keep in mind, also a thing I did miss, the Switch 2 has a built-in microphone this time around. So take that for what you will. We got optical sensors in the Joy-Con controllers for obviously mouse functionality and pointer functionality, which I'm predicting that it's going to be able to do that too. We have a built-in microphone in the Switch 2 now. We did not have that in the Switch 1. We have a USB-C port on the bottom, USB-C port on the top. We did not have that in Switch 1. Also, through the leaks, we know the dock also has an internal cooling fan, which also confirms that this system is way more powerful than what people are predicting, because it has an internal cooling, it has a dual cooling system. The Switch only had one fan. So that should let you know all you need to know. Why would the dock need a fan in it? The dock will need a fan in it simply because so the Switch will not run hot and melt to fucking pieces. Why would the Switch run hot and need an extra cooling fan? That means the internals of the Switch 2 are running at a higher power draw, and the GPU and the CPU are running way more harder than previously before, which indicates that it's pushing out way more power. So all you got to do is put two and two together, people. You can finish shit out. So those three main components, the microphone, the two USB ports, one on the bottom, one on the top, and the C button, we don't know what all those relate to. So innovation has always been a key. That's the culture of Nintendo. If y'all ever read some of Miyamoto's new interviews, he said the core culture of Nintendo is innovation and gameplay. They're not going to divert from that. Yes, this time around, they probably went a little bit more power heavy, but keep in mind, we have a new Nintendo president. It's not Iwata, rest in peace to the legend Iwata anymore. We have a new Nintendo president. That means he got chosen to be president for a reason. That means he does believe in Nintendo core values and principles. He wants to keep that intact. But as the new Nintendo president, he has the right to chart the course of where he believes Nintendo should go. So everything is on the table here, because we don't know what this Nintendo 2 president, what his vision of Nintendo should be in the future, while keeping those core principles in check of quality gameplay, quality innovation, and releasing quality software. We already know he believes in that. But the new Nintendo president has already charted his own course different from Iwata. This is the first time in a Nintendo console history that we are going to be able to transfer all our online identification. We are going to be able to transfer our online profiles and accounts over to the next system. This is the first time we've been able to do this, because every system we had to recreate a whole new online structure. New Nintendo president has made it a priority that you are able to move your account that you have now over to the new system. For the first time ever, we were able to do this. This is something the new Nintendo president wanted to do. So he's going to put his stamp on what he believes that Nintendo should move forward while respecting the core values of Nintendo and their core principles. You feel what I'm saying? So people need to understand that. So once I seen that, I kind of figured out what the new Nintendo president wants to do with Nintendo moving forward. And maybe he's not the type of guy that just wanted to barely get by with, system power and capability like Iwata was. Iwata was a genius. I take no doubts from Iwata, but Iwata thought power came third. That's just how he thought the priority ladder went. With this new Nintendo president, maybe he don't feel that same way. Maybe he wants the innovation, but we don't have to be scraping at the bottom of the barrel on the power wise. Maybe we can up that part a little bit more. And it seems like that's what they did with the Switch too. You know what I mean? It's going to be a bigger jump than they done recently in the last few generations since the Wii. So it's like he obviously believes in online, functionality and online presence. You know what I mean? And all that good stuff. So all the Nintendo Switch Online stuff was really the doing of the new Nintendo president, how it's all set up now. So you got to understand, he has his own vision. He's not Iwata Jr. It's like he's the new Nintendo president. He has his vision. We are going to fully see. This is his first system he's launching. So he has to get it right. This is a big step for him, and I think people overlook that so much because Iwata been there for so long until he passed on. But yeah, this is for him to establish his legacy in his direction of what he want Nintendo to be moving forward. So this is a whole new leadership. Once I seen that they were serious about keeping that online infrastructure, I was like, oh yeah, this is a new leadership here. No longer do we have to create a whole new online infrastructure every fucking system and never get to bring our shit with us. Now we're being able to do that. Nintendo Switch Online was a core thing for him, and he was adamant about that. And so far, he's keeping his word to that. So we will fully understand what the new Nintendo president vision is for Nintendo moving forward now that he is in charge. So there will be some changes, but the core values and the core principles of Nintendo is not going to change. Otherwise, they would have never voted him to be president. So we are going to have durable hardware that can, withstand nuclear fucking warheads. We're going to have games that come out and be fully functional and continue to keep that Nintendo seal of quality. You know what I mean? Innovation and gameplay are still going to be the core part. But now he's going to add his values on top of that. We're just going to figure, and I know online is a big thing for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have changed the whole structure of how it's done. So we're going to see a lot of what his vision is for Nintendo to go along with the traditional vision of Nintendo. So people need to keep that in mind. People need to really keep that in mind. Did I miss a question? Why are you putting beep in here, bro? Jesus Christ, man. You know what? I should time you out for that shit. What would be the top selling game for Switch 2 at the end of 2025? Mario Kart 9. I don't even know why you asking that. It's Mario Kart 9. There's no other answer to that question. Mario Kart 9. That's going to be the game. So there's no more questions, so, it's only one thing to leave y'all with before I get out of here. It's that we got to hear that booty clap one more time, man. Got to hear that booty clap one more time. Got to hear the left cheek. Got to hear the right cheek. Oh, man, that's so satisfying. With that being said, bro. With that being said, bro. Y'all go ahead, keep y'all eye out on that pre-orders, get y'all money saved up, because it's going to be a hell of a time. It's going to be a hell of a time. It's going to be a hell of a ride. We have to figure out how it's going to go. So, Switch 2 is upon us. And what y'all need to understand, yeah, you will be able to hear from me more, sir. So be prepared for that. You will be able to hear from me more. Don't have to worry about that. I's going to be here around a little bit more than often for 2025. You feel me? So, that would definitely be the case. You don't have to worry about none of that. You feel me? Don't have to worry about none of that. So with that being said, get ready for the Hill Truth Live. Hit that like button. I'll see y'all in a little bit. So if some crazy shit happen, you know I'll be back on this bitch again. Until then, you know what I mean? Switch 2 booty clap out.